Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. It's Saturday night. That means it's Politi-tics night here on Untethered Live. I'm your host, Jake Johnson. Tonight, we're going to vaguely wander off in the vicinity of 100 days approval rating for Donald Trump. He's been in office for 100 days this Tuesday. So next Tuesday will be 100 days. And we're going to see what his approval rating is and how good a job he has done so far. We're going to talk about judges who have been arrested and why, and Democrats losing their freaking minds because of it. And then we're going to discuss the ever-heated double standards in the world, in the law, in Hollywood, in politics, in everything. How are you doing? Nice to see you. Amy is first in chat. You get the gold star, hon. You have to go back and watch last night's show to see where I get all these stars from, but you'll get one. And congratulations. This is your first one. She says, I'm first in chat tonight. Hello. And Amanda says, Amy, here's your well-earned gold star. I hope you enjoy it. And hi, Amy. How did your clothes turn out? That's a way to start a conversation. Amanda says, hi, Untethered Live family. Good to see you all. Happy Saturday. And I hope everyone had a good day. Hi, Jake. How are you? Tonight, upside down question marks and exclamation points upside down. I don't even know how you do that. But, fantastic. I have been mechanicking all day. I've been working on stuff out in the yard. I got my chainsaw going. I got my lawnmower going. I got my charger jump starter thingy going. Air compressor / jump starter / flashlight / thing you put in the trunk. It's going. I've had a busy day. Got a lot done. Earlier this week, I got a few of my guitars set up and ready to go. Got some new stuff in there and, rearranging the guitar wall, as it were. So I've had a pretty productive couple of days. Thank you for asking. Patty, how are you, sweetheart? She says, hello, everybody. Tongue out and ready to go. How are you, Patty? Amanda says hi. Chat, stop moving around. You're driving me crazy. Patty says, Miss Amanda. Aaron's here. He says, what's up, Aaron? Good to see you, my friend. How are you doing this fine Saturday evening? Amanda says hi, by the way. Amy says, I managed to save most of my wardrobe. Excellent. Excellent. I knew a good wash would come in handy. Aaron says, hello. Bill Bennett's here. He says, hi, Untethered Live family. What's up, Bill? Nice to see you, buddy. Amanda says, that's awesome, Amy. Smiley face. And hi, Bill. Aaron says, did you save the lion and the witch too, Amy? That is a clever joke. The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Vera says, hi, Aaron, that was funny. See, I told you that was a clever joke. Aaron smiles, and Amanda says, hi, Rachel. And hey, Rachel, how are you? Aaron says, good to see you, Vera. And Vera says, said hi. Vera said hi. Amy says, I'm eating barbecue pork. Barbecue pork belly. That's a very meta way to eat food. You're taking belly and putting it in your belly. Barbecue. Aaron says, good? Is it good? It's barbecue pork belly. Of course it's good. Vera says, I had tacos and it tasted like straight shit. Ugh, that's not good. I had tacos yesterday or day before yesterday, one or the other, and they were delicious. Aaron says, well, dang. Vera says, in case anyone was wondering what I had for dinner. Well, we would get to that. We were going to ask. That is a pleasantry that we like to lead with. What did you have for dinner? I had spaghetti for dinner. Always a good, Saturdays are spaghetti night, so always good to have spaghetti on Saturday. I'm still struggling to speak, but I'll get through it, just like I did last night. Maybe as I go on, it'll get easier. Amanda says, that sucks, Rachel. We had spaghetti and it was so yummy. Yes, it was. Aaron said, I had slow-cooked beef. Nice. Vera said, tasted like pure salt. Might as well had a box of salt for dinner. Well, sometimes that's good, too. Aaron says, I miss my mom's spaghetti. My mom was a fantastic cook, and I ate her cooking most of my life, and I'm with you. I miss it, too. Aaron said, I had a weird dream last night. What did you dream? Share with us your weirdness. I did not. I slept like a log last night. I had a pretty busy day yesterday, though. And today. And tomorrow. I was planning on being busy. I got to get the deck off of my lawnmower, my ride lawnmower, and I got to weld a spot that has come loose and rusted loose. Got to do some welding and get that belt back on it where it won't jump off and go cut my grass. Amy says, at the laundromat today, some guy was playing his acoustic guitar, and I invited him to watch the show. Excellent. Was he any good? What did he play? Aaron said, it involved a demon. Well, that's usually dreams that involve demons are definitely weird. Amanda said, I miss my mom and my dad too, Aaron. Today would have been his birthday. Happy heavenly birthday, Daddy. Aw, I didn't know that. I'm sorry. Aaron said, happy birthday to him. Belated. Amanda says, thank you. Amy says, prayers and hugs to everyone who needs them. I concur. Aaron says, thank you, Amy. Mr. P's here. He says, hey, gang, I love to you all. Mr. P, how are you, buddy? Good to see you. Amanda says, hi, Mr. P. Aaron says, sup, P-man. Patty says, Aaron, what was your dream, buddy? Right on. Tell us about the dream. What did that demon get up to, that dastardly demon? That dastardly dark devil demon from down under? Do tell. Amy says, liked, shared, and invited some friends. Nice. Linda Davis is here. Hi, Linda. She says, hi, all. Hearts and wavy hands. Amy says, lawnmower deck. Don't get deck envy. I don't have deck envy. I've got like 9 lawnmowers. None of them run except for one. But I could have my choice of decks. I just have to figure out how to make it work. But this one, there's nothing wrong with it except for where the spindle is, you know, the little thing that the belt hooks onto, little wheel under there. The base of it has rusted through and it's kind of ripped the metal there. And it's kind of causing it to lean a little, so it's loose. And every time I run it, the belt pops off. It still works. It just, the belt won't stay on. So I've got to pull that back up straight and then weld it or build it out and weld it. Put a piece of metal there or something to patch up that ripped spot. Grind it down and weld it. Maybe have to put a piece of metal in there to cover it up. If it's rusted through all around the crack, I'm going to have to cut the crack out and then replace a piece of metal there. But maybe I can get away with just covering the crack with a weld, and that'll fix it. That'll put the spindle back up straight, and it'll keep the belt tight enough to run it. And I'm eventually going to have to get another battery for it because the battery will no longer charge. I had to jump it off with my truck today, and no doubt it'll be dead in the morning. So the battery won't keep a charge. That's one thing. But that's not a problem. If I have to jump it off every time I use it, that's still not a problem. But deck envy? Nah. I have quite a massive deck that I'm working with, you know. I don't envy other men their decks. My deck is plenty big. Amanda says, hi, Linda, hon. And Mr. P says, Linda always brightens my day seeing you. Absolutely. Mr. P says, heart. I guess that's a universal heart. That's for everybody. Aaron says, I dreamt I was walking and talking to a guy, but could not see his face. I was talking to my mom, and the guy turned into a demon, and he was trying to hold me down. Oof. Scary dream. Aaron says, I woke up fighting the air. Here's the good news. You were fighting. That means that you didn't succumb to the demon. Also good news that dreams are usually the opposite. They mean the opposite of what you're dreaming. So you can invert dreams. Whatever you're dreaming, flip it over, and that's what it really means. And that's what your subconscious mind is wrestling with. If I had to interpret that dream, I would say you were struggling with your willingness to follow a religion to the light willingly. You're struggling with that. That's what the dream would suggest anyway. Amanda says, LOL, Amy. Amy says, that's an intense dream, more like a nightmare. Right on. Hussein Ahmed says, shirt, suit, you're fine. Thank you. Shirt, suit. Oh, the shirt suits me fine. Thank you, Ahmed. Hussein Ahmed. I appreciate it. Welcome to the show. I'm sure your shirt is lovely as well. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you, where you're from, and what would you like to talk about? This is a politically leaning show, so have at it. Mr. P says, damn, Aaron. And Mr. P says, ooh. Amanda says, hi, Hussein. Welcome. Aaron says, normally I don't get into that stuff, but it's just a weird dream. Right on. It's me says, politics, huh? It's all BS. I agree, which is why we have this show. But everybody has an opinion, and not everyone has the same one. So that's why we discuss. And better ideas come out of arguing bad ideas. Patty says, Aaron, did you eat something spicy before bed? There's an idea. Amy says, my son mowed the yard yesterday. Nice. I don't have a son that'll come mow the yard, so it's all my job. Amanda says, hi, it's me. And hi, it's me. How are you? Amy says, hi, Patty. That's what I was thinking, too. Something spicy. Aaron says, no, Patty, I don't like spicy stuff. Really? I love spicy stuff. Amanda says, everything is bullshit. Exactly. Sorry, I had to get that fan going. It's pouring sweat in here. It's me says, hello, MT. MT? Who's MT? Hussein says, great job, Amy's son. Okay. Oh, you're saying that Amy's son cutting the grass is a good job. Yes, absolutely. I have to cut my own grass. I have 2 children, and none of them cut any grass, ever. None of mine, anyway. So it's all up to old Jake. I could make the old lady go out and cut the grass, but that would be weird. So I don't want her touching my lawnmower anyway. So there's that. It's me says, hello, Miss Amanda. What it is here. What's up, buddy? He says, so someone's going to be hollering when they get their crack welded up. No, that's my deck on my lawnmower. It doesn't talk. But if it could talk, it'd probably be yelling. Amanda says, hey, what it is? What it is says, hello, Amanda, and to the Untethered Live family. How are you? Good to see you. Amanda says a bunch of smiley faces. No comment on the deck. She might have deck envy, but I'm quite satisfied with my deck. Amanda says, LOL, what it is, right? Amy says, thinking about the taco stuff. Last time I made some using the packaged seasoning, it was also very salty. Too salty. I use half a pack now. There you go. That might be what the problem was. Linda says, thank you, Mr. P. You bring a little sunshine to my day, too. Nice. Debbie's here. She says, Aaron, seems to me that your mom might have a friend you do not like and your subconscious was working that out. Could be. Dreams are very subjective, and we're not entirely sure that they're translatable. They might just be nonsense that your brain is putting together. It might just be random neurons firing, inventing scenarios just to keep you busy while you sleep. But it could be prophetic. The Bible seems to suggest that some dreams, when given by God, are prophetic. I don't know that all of them are. But it is an interesting field of study. I've done some looking into dreams. They're quite mysterious. Nobody really can tell you why you dream. They just seem to think that you have to. Like if you don't dream, you don't repair while you're sleeping. Something about random eye movement, which is the period in time, the portion of sleep where you dream. So when your eyes are darting back and forth. And apparently, if your brain doesn't go into that type of brain wave while you sleep, it's not a rejuvenating sleep. That's when you get in your rest, when your body's repairing itself. So there's some correlation between dreaming and healing, but nobody exactly knows what that is. They just kind of guess that might have something to do with it. It's pretty interesting. What it is says, what's up with these judges hiding illegal immigrants that are gang members and saying that I did not know he was a gang member, along with judges that are interfering with ICE? Well, it's funny you should ask that, because a judge just got arrested today, and the liberals are losing their mind. How dare Trump have judges arrested? He's arresting judges now? This tyrant is going to run the country the way he wants to. You remember back when your guy was in office and you not only tried to arrest the front runner for presidency, the most popular candidate, but also his lawyers and his janitor and his friends and anybody else you could get your hands on? You remember when you guys did that? Turns out there was no cause to do that. It's a double standard, because now that he's doing it, you have a problem with it. Only difference is he's arresting people that actually broke the law. These judges are criminals. They actually harbored fugitives, people that should not be in this country, illegal immigrants, not tourists, not immigrants, illegal immigrants, ones that don't have permission to be here, ones that jump the border. They can't be here. So they're rightfully getting arrested for breaking the law. And also, judges cannot supersede the presidency. He has executive power. Presidents cannot be ruled by judges, or else why have a president? If a judge can just decide the law, you don't need a president. Just have judges do it. That's what the Supreme Court is for, by the way. And even at that, it's a suggestion, not a law. It's not mandatory. The president can absolutely ignore the Supreme Court if he wants to. Nobody's going to stop him. But this double standard of rules for thee and not for me, I'll do it, but you'll get in trouble for it. That's got to stop. Any thoughts on these judges and them aiding and abetting gang members from other countries who are absolutely coming into this country starting trouble? Why would they do that? It's almost like they want the country to fall apart. Amanda says, hi, Debbie. And hi, Debbie. Dodo One Ops says, Iron Age, Middle Eastern mythology. What is? That's a thing, yes, but what are you referring to? And welcome to the show, Dodo. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? And what are you talking about? Amy says, hi, Debbie. And Amanda says, hi, Dodo. Welcome. Mr. P says, I would say it's just a dream. They don't always need to mean something. Well, they don't always mean something, but sometimes they do. That's the interesting part about dreams. It's very unusual. It's me says, when I stopped smoking pot, I had severe nightmares and literally sleepwalking for a month. Yeah. I quit eating pork one time for 10 years. And when I started eating pork again, I had some pretty trippy dreams that night. And for about a week after I started eating pork again. So anytime you put a drastic change on your body system, it's going to cause you to have weird dreams or other symptoms. Aaron says, Debbie, she had no friends, but maybe my dad, but Jake is closer to my thoughts. Well, like I said, dreams are usually inverted. They're the opposite of what you're working through. For whatever reason, it's like looking in a mirror sometimes. You know, it's the backwards, it's a reverse image of what you're thinking. Debbie says, hello all. I missed what Jake said about Aaron's dream because of a damn ad. Well, what I said was, dreams are usually the opposite of what you're thinking. Like if you have a dream that is involving something you're thinking or something you're going through, you'll dream the opposite of that. So if I were to interpret that dream walking with a demon and then having to fight the demon and wake up fighting the demon, sounds to me like he's struggling with some spiritual aspect of his life and his willingness, not fighting it, but willingness to go forward towards it. And that being a spiritual awakening into the light of God, which is what he's doing by going to Bible study and all that. And you take that and turn it upside down, and that's what you would see. So that's what it sounds like to me, like he's working through his willingness to follow a religion. If I were to interpret it, and if I were correct, which I don't know that I am. Aaron says, good to see you, Debbie. And those damn ads help me keep the lights on, and I apologize for them, but they are necessary evils. I wish I didn't have to do that. B says hi. Hello, B. Welcome to the show. How are you? Come on in. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Where you're from? And what would you like to talk about? Amanda says, hi, B. Welcome. And Aaron says, welcome, B. EA says, Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, EA? Nice to see you. Linda says, hi, EA, and Amanda says, hi, EA, and Amanda says, that's good. I don't want to touch your lawnmower. Stay away from my lawnmower. Mr. P says, kids that don't cut the grass. That wouldn't fly at my house growing up. Mine either. I cut the grass from very young. And all yard work was up to me. Amy says, we need more babies. We need more population, not less. I agree. I think everybody should grab a lady and make a baby. It's necessary. Make life, not war. And if you can't make life, at least you can get some practice in. That's always fun. Aaron says, if I had a clinic, it would be called Baby Juice. Nice. Debbie says, Amanda, Jake called you an old lady. I said old lady, which is a figure of speech. I didn't call her an old lady, which is a name. Figure of speech meaning my old lady. What you gonna do about that? Probably stay my old lady, because she knows what's good for her too. Isme says, is April Rain here? Did I see her on video singing? You probably did. She probably has some video singing. She's not here yet. She might be here later. I will tell her you watched her video. Nope, I don't see her yet. I'm drinking a nice hot cup of coffee. Thank you to the people that provide the coffee for the show. This is a regular cup of Joe. That's the way I like it, yo, for show. Don't you want to have a cup with me and talk about whatever comes up? If so, go to the kitchen, pour yourself up a nice hot cup of coffee. However, if you find yourself in the dastardly position of not owning a coffee cup, which is weird, we can fix that. Go down to the description below and get you one there. I recommend the first one. It has my face on it. It is fantastic. However, There are a lot of new choices down there, including but not limited to stainless steel tumblers with locking lids. There's big ones and little ones. They hold your coffee hot for hours like mine does. It locks so you don't spill, and it looks great on a coffee table. And it has the Untethered Live Bible Study logo on the front. It is beautiful. Go get one while supplies last. Also, lots of other things down there. Also, like, subscribe, share, support, join. Super chats are available in the chat box if you want to show a little bit of love. You want to throw a little clang-a-lang my way if you want to. BJ. You can do that right over there, or paypal.me/jakejohnsonband, or CashApp, $jakejohnsonband. Every little bit helps. It's a win-win. It is a blessing to me. Now, one more thing. If you want to have a place you can hang out with friends here, outside of YouTube, outside of their oppressive little censorshipy fingers, outside of me having to read and misinterpret everything you say, you want to send pictures, videos, texts, and chats to each other, get to know one another, you can do that over on Facebook.com/UntetheredLive Family. The link is in the chat. Untethered Live Family is all one word, and I appreciate you showing up. Please do go check that out. It's a cool place to be. Back to the show. More coffee first. It's getting low. Amy says, Debbie, she'll probably make him a sandwich. Ooh, snap. Now I want a sandwich. I don't. I'm just joking. I make her a sandwich too. Or I would. I don't have to, but I would. Amanda says, LOL, Debbie, he's older than me, so he's an old man. I am. Amanda says, I'll take away his favorite toy, LOL. How? That would involve a sharp object almost necessarily. And I don't think I would enjoy that. Amy says, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson. That is true. Debbie says, well, if Daddy mows the lawn, then Daddy gets a sandwich. Seems fair. Thank you, ma'am. I'll settle for a glass of tea, though. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron, babysitter. Right on. Baby batter. Sorry, baby batter. Babysitter. But baby batter is what she said. Babysitter. Baby batter. Anyway. Mr. P says, yes, rapid eye movement. REM. Sleep is tied to a longer life and a healthier life. True. And also, you go through stages during your sleep. One of those stages is a repairing stage where your body repairs itself, your mind repairs itself. Apparently, they've done studies, and people that have gone without sleep for like 7 days go insane and kill everybody in the room. That's happened. There was a Russian study. Go look at that. Look it up. A bunch of Russians kept a whole group of people awake for like 2 weeks, and they wouldn't let them go to sleep. They kept pumping them full of amphetamines, and they would randomly turn the lights on and make noise and keep them busy. So they stayed awake for a very long time, and apparently they all went crazy and killed each other, ate their skin and ripped their eyes out and things like that. It's really gruesome. Look into that. So you need sleep a lot. And I think if you sleep a lot, you live longer. I just think that's the way it is. Aaron says, Johnson & Johnson. Now you got it. Linda says, isn't that you, Amanda? In the picture? Yeah. Amanda says, LOL, you caught it, huh? Your favorite toy. Oh, yeah, yes. Amanda says, LOL, Debbie, he got iced tea and dinner. Right on. Amy says, my children are adults and don't have babies or plans for babies. I want a grandchild to spoil. Stuff with sugary caffeine and then send them home. As is your right to do. I would like a grandchild also, though I don't know that I'm going to have one. My daughter has decided to go the other direction, so I don't know that that's going to happen. And if it does happen, that will be wonderful. But I just don't know. It's up in the air. Amanda says, I'll give him dessert later. Mr. P says, Amy, smiley face. Kobe's here. Hey, Kobe. Hello, sir. Nice to meet you, Kobe. Welcome. Come on in. Take your shoes off. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I keep saying this and nobody does it, but tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you would like to talk about. Amanda says, hi, Kobe. Welcome. Debbie says, what's for dessert, Amanda? The old Glug Glug 9000. Mr. P says, my mom's gone, but she said that to me many times, even though she had 13 or 15 grandchildren at a time. Wow. She wanted you to have one too? Gotcha. Does your deck discharge to the left or to the right? To the right. What a strange question. How's it hanging? To the right. Yeah, it's my lawnmower is a Husqvarna, the orange one. It's a little old. It's not a new one by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a good one. And it's got the two blade deck, and I believe it's 27 inches. I might have that wrong, but I think it's 27 inches. Might be 35 inches. Anyway, it cuts the width of the lawnmower, and it discharges to the right. Amy says, ugh, I hate folding clothes, but I'm grateful to have clothes to fold. Amen. That was a close one, wasn't it? Amanda says, whatever he wants, LOL. Oh, that's sweet. Probably cookies. But cookies and a glug glug. That would make for a very sleepy night. Kobe says, something deleted. I wouldn't repeat that. That's childish. Apparently, Kobe thinks I'm a 3-year-old or a 7th grader who would fall for something so stupid and probably doesn't realize that I actually know how to read. Amy says, nope, don't repeat that, please. That please. I won't. And Kobe, you have an opportunity here to get to know some very wonderful people, or you could be a childish troll, in which case you will quickly get booted out of here. We don't tolerate that here at all. There's a zero tolerance policy for that sort of thing. Either have a conversation or get the hell on down the road, one or the other. You don't have to be here. Kevin Bernard, what's up, buddy? Kevin says, should judges be held to a higher standard when they commit crimes? Well, they should be held to the same standard. When they commit a crime, they should go to jail, like everybody else does. Amy says, that's a warning, Kobe. That's a warning. The next one won't be a warning. Aaron says, my chat disappeared. Oh, no. How did you write that? Junior Velasquez. That's Velasquez, right? Velasquez. Junior Velasquez. Junior Velasquez. How do you say that? Velasquez? Junior. Greetings from Sadix. Where's that? We got watermelons, though. That's nice. Hello, Barissimo. Welcome. Did I miss one? I'm on Top Chat. That's probably why I missed it. If I've missed any of your chats, I apologize. I was on Top Chat. I got to go back up and find out where I was at then. Ah, here we go. I found it. That's probably why your chat disappeared, Aaron. Make sure you're on live chat or all chat if you're on a phone. I still don't see a Barissimo, though. Amanda says, hi, Kevin. Amy says, Kevin, kiss. Kevin says, hello, Amanda. And hi, Junior. Welcome, says Amanda. Kevin says, hello, Amy. Aaron says, Sir Kevin. Patty says, did anyone else see where the lady that... Okay. Did anyone else see where the lady that accused Prince Andrew of sexual assault has committed suicide? I did see that. I didn't know that was her, though. I thought it was just a victim. It was presented as a victim of Jeffrey Epstein, but I didn't know that I was the one that accused Prince Andrew. Did she fall down an elevator shaft onto some bullets? Kevin says, hello, Aaron. Amanda says, your ad made it go blank, Aaron. Aaron says, it be like that, yo. It be like that sometime. Amanda says, good job, Amy. Right on. I want to scroll back up and see if I can catch this Barissimo character, which I do not currently see. Ah, here we go. Anything that Trump does is crooked. And then they want the country to fall apart. Are you some kind of nutcase? Trump wants the country to fall apart, does he? Is that why he's working so hard to make it more prosperous? Is that why he's trying to lock it down so that it can grow? Or is he trying to tear it apart by kindness, kill us with kindness, as it were? Is that why his approval rating is above 50% right now in his first 100 days? Is that why all of the people around him are talking about creating a situation where he can run a third time? Interesting. Barissimo, I'm guessing you don't know much about politics. Welcome to the show, where you don't just get to say anything you want to say. You got to back it up with some common sense. You can say whatever you like. You can have whatever opinion you want, but it's got to make sense to the world that you live in. And if you're not seeing the world that you live in, you should stay longer, because we uncover that sort of thing here on a regular basis. Junior, where is SATX at? SATX. I don't know where that is. What it is says, yep. They said that she had renal failure after a car accident in Australia. She had a farm down there, and I don't know if she could deal with the pain or something else that made it look like a suicide. Look into Hillary Clinton's flight logs and see where she was at during this period of time. Just curious. I'm asking for a friend. Amy says, I saw that. It's sad, but the conspiracy theorists in me makes me wonder if it was self-inflicted, Patty. Fab Daddy says, I be watching. What's up, Fab? Nice to see you, brother. How are you? How's your lawnmower doing? Do you have a lawnmower? If so, when's the last time you worked on it? Amanda says, hi, Fab. Amy says, hi, Fab. Aaron says, Sir Daddy. Sir Daddy? Linda says, my mom has girls. I've been mowing the lawn since I was 7. Right on. My sister never got to mow the lawn. I did it all the time. She washed dishes and clothes. I cut grass and washed outside of the trailer that we lived in. Amy says, what it is, pain is horrible. I suffer from chronic pain daily, as do I. As do I. Patty says, I guess there is no charges now. Maybe. Aaron says, what did you hurt, Amy? No, chronic pain is pain for the sake of pain. It's nothing you did. It's just everything hurts. Probably from some previous injuries or from things that occur due to age, like fibromyalgia or arthritis, things like that. Chronic pain is one of those things. For me, I was born with spinal scoliosis, and I had a major surgery when I was 6 years old, and then 7 following surgeries after that to correct the fact that I was basically the hunchback from Notre Dame. Anyway, that caused a lot of issues. For example, I had that surgery in the 70s before modern anesthesia and before doctors knew what they were doing in this field, because no one had ever had this. And there's 3 recorded cases of it in history, and 2 of those people died almost immediately. I'm one of the only ones that survived as long as I have. And they flew in 5 doctors from all over the world, an Australian guy, German guy, Chinese guy, an English guy, on and on and on, an American guy, whatever, to do the surgery for free. And then they took pictures, and if you go find the old doctor books that concern spinal scoliosis, the pictures in that book are of me. So it was a guinea pig operation. Nobody had ever had it before. As far as I know, I'm the only one that has had it. Here I am. And they told me then, when I was 6 years old, that I would live to be 16 if I didn't have the surgery, and my body would crush itself and I would die. If I did have the surgery, I might make it to 27, but I'd be in a lot less pain. Well, I've surpassed that twice, and I'm still going. Almost 3 times now. Fab Daddy says, I am laughing. The ladies call me Fab, and the guys call me Daddy. That's just funny. I didn't call you Daddy. I call you Fab. Or Fab Daddy. Because that's what's written in your name. I don't, however, include the 44 because it seems to be redundant. And you're almost certainly not 44. Amanda says, Fab, Rachel calls you Daddy. LOL. That's the kind of daddy I like to be called. Daddy. Amy says, the idea of a monarchy is strange to me. The royals don't have the power they used to have. It's a foreign concept to me. Well, true. Right now, they're basically like a mascot of the country. But they did that to themselves. You know, Queen Elizabeth gave up all of that power. She signed it over to a prime minister and other, however they do their, if John was here, he could explain their culture. I'm not real sure how the parliament works. I'm not real up on their politics, but I know there's a prime minister and there's a few people under him. And they basically do what the queen did in a legal concept. She gave that power up. She used to have that power. The queen or the king had absolute power, but she gave it up and changed the way that the monarchy works. Now, she still has power, although she rarely ever uses it. But she don't have the power you think she has. For example, let her walk into the Bank of London and see what happens. Or even into the little square, the block where the bank is like a foreign country. She's not allowed to be there. Why? Ask the queen. Patty says, Amy Elizabeth, my son hurts all the time from nerve pain, a bike crash. It's relentless. I went through that too. I hit the ground face first at about 40 miles an hour, like a whip. And I suffered greatly. I was in bed for a month. I couldn't get up. I couldn't move. All I had was my thumb. My fingers didn't work anymore. And I had to work through that and get control of my fingers again. That is the only time I've ever wrecked a motorcycle, and I was the only one involved in the wreck, thank God. But it'll happen to anybody that rides a motorcycle eventually. It's me says 100 days. Did Trump open that pipeline? Gas is not going down. Neither is interest rates. Well, gas is going down. It's me. It's gone down a lot in the past 100 days. It was hitting $4 a gallon when Biden left office. It's down to $2.85 now. Still not as low as it could go, though. Or 385. I might have that backwards. It's not going very fast, and there's a reason for that. You got to understand that the previous administration damn near sank this country. They damn near bankrupted it. They damn near ran it out of resources, and they damn near destroyed it. It's going to take a while to rebuild all of that and fix it back the way it was. For example, the reason gas was so low, $1.50 when Trump left office the first time, is because the reserves were full. There's a cave somewhere out there that they store barrels of oil. And there's like a certain number that they keep on hand because that's the reserves. When the oil reaches a certain price, we tap into the reserves. And then that keeps the price down for regular people. Joe Biden sold it all. So it's an empty reserve now. There's nothing there. Trump has to rebuild all of that so that we have that reserve so that prices will go down. He also shut down the pipeline and turned off a lot of the oil refineries in this country. This country has enough oil that we could exist for the next 1,000 years and not run out of oil. Why we buy it from Saudi Arabia is beyond me. I don't know why they do that. We don't have to. We've got oil right here. And if it was made here and sold here, it would be cheaper because of it. Almost certainly, though, that if they pumped that oil out of the ground, they'd be selling it to other countries, too. They shouldn't do that. Interest rates, I don't know a lot about. I don't have any interest rates because I don't partake in usury. I buy things with cash money. I get paid in cash. I spend cash, and I don't borrow money unless I have to. And then I borrow small amounts of money. I don't borrow a lot. I would encourage everyone to live that way. Live within your means. Don't buy things you can't afford. And buy things that you can afford. Like if you need a car, buy a good used car from a junkyard as opposed to a new car. It'll be better for the environment because it's not a new vehicle on the road. It's one that's already been here. And it'll be cheaper on your pocketbook. And if you drive it for a year, it's paid for itself. So just buy another one. Amy says, everything hurts. It's the consequences of bad decisions early in life. Right on. Yeah, my mama used to tell me I better stop doing that or one day I'm going to regret it. I would never listen to her. I was the kind of small guy that had to prove himself, so I was always lifting heavy things and overworking myself, and I am paying for it now. And Patty says, you are spot on. Thank you, Patty. Aaron says, I understand, Amy. Fab Daddy says, when watching Vertical, I sometimes can't read all the comments because YouTube sucks sometimes. I understand, buddy, and I apologize for that. That's why you can just listen. I'll read them for you. Amanda says, LOL, no, Jake. That's my favorite toy, silly. Right on. Aaron says, my back is like that. I still run. I wish I could run. I hadn't ran in a long time. Junior says, this sounds like that time Morty was reading that novel by that one guy on the planet that purges. So you're young, I can tell. It's not unlike that. I'm reading a novel that's being written right before my eyes, and you are listening to it. Amy says, sleep deprivation can be torture. Yes, it can, and is often used for that very reason. They play grunge music in some jails, like in Guantanamo Bay. They have a cell there where they just play like Amy Winehouse or grunge music, like Kurt Cobain or something like terrible, terrible music. Tiptoe Through the Tulips or something like that. And they play it very loudly at random times. So like in the middle of the night, it's pitch black. All the lights come on, and then Tiptoe Through the Tulips is playing at top volume. I'd say that would be torture. I would be, beating my head against a brick wall. Aaron says, how's your truck doing, Amy? Did you get that fixed? And Amanda says, yes, definitely, Amy. Even worse when it's caused by pain. Amy says, my truck is still parked where it was. No progress. I'm just going to trade it off. Aaron says, double tap. Yes, please hit that like button, everybody. If you have a phone, just hit the screen twice. If you have a computer, click the three dots or the little thumb thingy down at the bottom. Amanda says, short, shriveled, and a little to the left. Hey, you're absolutely right. Fab Daddy says, I see Aaron became a mod. Welcome to the blue. Right on. Yeah, it was time. He deserved it. And Linda says, Amanda, it's not nice to tell Jake's secrets, LOL. It ain't no secret. But I'm with you. Aaron says, Fab, thanks. It was entrusted to me. Absolutely. Gary Faulkner vibes. Is that a good thing? Who's Gary Faulkner? Is that the guy that played Columbo? Sorry, my nose is itching. Thank you, Junior. Amanda says, LOL, no, never that, Linda. It's a movie quote. Okay. Oh, Jonathan Martinez sent 100 for 2 jewels. Thank you, John. I don't know what that means. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Linda Davis says, I just had to bust on you, Amanda. Oh, a tree grow, says Amy. Jonathan Martinez sent another 100 for 2 jewels. Thank you, Jonathan. I still don't know what that means. 100 is for $1. Oh. Well, what is it? I didn't get $1. What does that mean? How do you do that? I don't see an option for me to even look at those things. I've heard about it. I know that there's an option to buy jewels or gifts or whatever, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know what benefit it is, but thank you. Amanda says, no, JDJ, not in here. Oh. Yep, this is the wrong place for that kind of talk. Jake Fain says, who are you and why should anyone care what you have to say? Honestly, curious. By me. And you shouldn't care what I have to say unless you're a complete idiot that doesn't care about the world you live in. You know, you shouldn't care about what I have to say at all. If you think you know everything, you have no reason to listen to me. None whatsoever, Jake. Good name, though. I appreciate that. Nice knowing you. Why are you here? Just curious, honestly. If you're a smart fella, you would notice by listening to me talk that I know a thing or two and have come into that knowledge the honest way by living it. And if you are a person who is curious about the world you live in and want to have it work its maximum beneficial for yourself, you would listen to what I have to say. Otherwise, gets to stepping. I'm sure there's some idiot out there talking about, you know, Magic the Gathering or whatever you kids are into these days. Go find that. Go watch somebody play a video game instead of playing one yourself. I hear that's all the rage these days. Why would you care about what I have to say? I don't know. I guess you're not very good at making friends. Why would I care what you have to say? Amanda says, gotcha, Linda. And hi, Jonathan, welcome. And Amanda says, hi, Jake, welcome. And Amy says, Jake, Thane, you first. Why should anybody care what you have to say? Honestly, just curious. Right on. You might be in the wrong place there, Jake. Read the room, buddy. Fab Daddy says, if you ask me about Trump's 100 days, it's been a complete shit show. Really? Throw it at the wall and see what sticks. Well, in what way has it been a shit show, Fab Daddy? What has gone so wrong that wasn't caused directly by the Democrats trying to make it look like a shit show? What it is says a 27-inch deck. That's pretty nominal. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's whatever the normal size deck. I don't know exactly what it is. It might not be 27. I just seem to remember that number. But it's a typical ride lawnmower. It's not a big or oversized deck. It's whatever the normal thing is. Mr. P says, I have money, but no way to send it just yet. It takes days to transfer to my main bank account before I can put anything in CashApp. But you guys know I got you when I can, Jake and Amy. Thank you, John, and that's entirely up to you, sir. And Jake Thane says, I'm not live streaming anything. Yeah, but you're in a live stream, so why did you come here? Are you just looking for somebody to insult? Does that get your little willies off? Does that make you feel like you're not in your mom's basement? Because it doesn't bother me in the slightest bit. I have quite a successful channel, and I do quite well with what I do here. So I don't care whether you like me or not, or have any interest in what I have to say or not. I didn't put this out here for you. You're a guest in my house, you see. So if you remain here, it will be to hear what I have to say, which would be the answer to your question. Mr. P says, Amanda. Aaron says, Fab, I haven't kept up with it. What's been going on with it? Oh, the Trump thing? Yeah, what's going on, Fab Daddy? Care to illustrate what you're talking about? I've seen a lot of good stuff happen and a lot of roadblocks being thrown up and a lot of trying to make something out of nothing happening and a lot of finger pointing and people stonewalling and suing and putting up roadblocks, but I haven't seen any actual wrongdoing coming from the Trump administration. Everything they've done thus far has been good for us on the whole. So what exactly are you talking about? Speak slowly and clearly so that we can understand. Amanda says, he's done exactly what he said he was going to do, Fab. Exactly. Everything he has done so far, he campaigned on for over a year. Amanda says, it's all pretty good, Mr. P. Thanks. Or it's all good, Mr. P. Thanks. I don't know why I keep reading words that aren't there. Maybe Jake Thane has a point. Amy says, hello, Jake Thane. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. Please comment on whatever, but be respectful. Amen. Thank you, Amy. Mr. P says, I disagree. Trump's more straightforward about what he does than any president in history. You might not like his style, but he's not crooked about it. Right. Right. There's a lot of people that don't like Trump but can't explain why they don't like Trump. It's a party thing. I don't like him because everybody else don't like him that's on my side. But when I ask, what don't you like? What did he lie about? What has he done wrong? I hardly ever get an answer of any kind. That's a red flag, just so you know. You might not like Trump. I don't have to like the man to vote for him to run my country. I don't need to like him. I don't need to care for him at all. If he's a good, shrewd businessman and he makes good decisions that benefit the country, he's done the job I voted him in to do. By the way, in what way is Trump any worse or better than the past 5 presidents in your mind? Aaron says, how do I switch to all chat? There should be an option right at the top of the chat with a little down arrow that says top chat, all chat, live chat, something like that. You just pull that little arrow down and pick the right one. That's the way I do it on the computer. It might be different on the phone, in which case I don't know how. Try the 3 dots. Junior says, Sadix, it's San Antonio, Texas. Got it. All right. I've never heard it put like that before, but welcome from San Antonio. I like that. I like that area. I've been to Texas once in my life, and I loved it. But it was a long time ago, and it's built up a lot since then. I think it was in the 80s when I was there. Amanda says it's live chat on the phone, Aaron. Right on. Fab Daddy says it's executive order after executive order being challenged in the courts. Yeah, I wonder why. You ever thought about why they're challenging every executive order he does? He has had more challenges than any other sitting president in history because the Democrats are trying to tank him. All of his executive orders, though, every single one of them have been to correct what Joe Biden did by executive order to ruin the country. He's undoing all of that and then adding in what he said he was going to do the first time and attempted to do, but was railroaded by people such as the judges that keep questioning his executive orders in court, which they don't have a right to do. If a judge can question laws and hinder the president, then you don't need a president. Let the judges do it. If that's their job, if that's what they're capable of doing, let them do it. Even the Supreme Court, which is part of the executive branch and not part of the federal court system, it is a separate entity. It's part of the executive branch. The Supreme Court can make a ruling, and the president can ignore it, which has been done by Obama and Joe Biden and Trump. Because judges cannot tell the president what he can and can't do. That's why he's the president, duly elected by the people, which means he is reflective of what the people want him to do. So you're in effect acting against the people that live in the country you live in. Now would be a good time to remind you that President Trump caused every state in the union to trend Republican. It was a landslide win. Popular vote, electoral college, every state trended Republican. It's a mandate for him to do what he's doing. So your argument is against the whole country. You're the minority here. Doge not keeping promises and canning jobs that are needed, like nuclear oversight. How do you know that that's needed? And Doge, the only thing they haven't done is because everybody has tried to stop them from doing what they set out to do. It's not that they haven't attempted to do it. It's that they got to go through all the red tape, which is a stalling tactic because they can't actually stop Doge from doing anything, because every president has had some version of Doge. Go back and look through history. Ronald Reagan had it. Bill Clinton had it. FDR had it. They all had some version of what Doge is, an appointed office to clean up the government. Doge is the only one that's actually doing it, which is why everybody's up in arms about it, because by doing so, he's cutting off the cash flow to all of these random places that have been living off the tit of the government for years and decades even. Now, like I said, it's a stalling tactic because Doge was appointed to be doing what they're doing by the president, who was elected to do what he's doing, which means all they can do is complain about it and keep him tied up in court for a while and ultimately lose the case, and they do it anyway, which is what has happened over and over and over again, because Doge is not doing anything wrong. He's doing exactly what they were set here to do. And nuclear oversight, well, first you'd have to believe that we actually have nuclear weapons in order for nuclear oversight to be a thing. Seems to me that if they're shutting off nuclear oversight, that they're probably not actually needed, because you wouldn't get rid of something you needed. Think a little bit. I've asked this question on here before. Can you tell me the name of the company that maintains our nuclear arsenal? When is the last update created, and by whom? Is it Apple? Does Apple run the nuclear updates? The last time you saw a nuclear weapon, they required a rotary phone to dial into the place, the facility, to launch it, and 2 big keys. Surely that's been updated, right? So who did it? What company goes and maintains these facilities, these nuclear silos where all these missiles are kept? Because if you're telling me that things that were built in the 30s are still operational, go get your Game Boy and tell me how well it plays games. Or your Atari 500. Go get that and plug it into your TV. See if you can plug in the RF modulator, if you even know what that is. And then you tell me that things that were built in the 30s, 40s, and 50s are still operational today. And if so, who's running that operation? Because, we have a budget. And you can go look at what everything is spent on. It's public knowledge. So if there is a company, you should be able to quickly find out who it is. I know you're going to say Lockheed Martin. No, you'd be wrong. You'd be wrong. Anyway, Amy says, 3 dots menu, Aaron. Amanda says, you on a computer or a phone, Aaron? I think he's on a phone. Aaron says phone, right. Amanda says 3 dots, line next to the X. Aaron says, I don't have the dots or the line. It's gone. Try shutting it down and restarting it. What it is says Trump has an AI picture with the magic hat that says Trump 2028 in the White House behind his right shoulder behind curtains. That's hilarious. That's very funny. He also has his mugshot hanging outside the Oval Office, so anybody that goes into the Oval Office to talk to him have to walk past that photo of him in a mugshot. It's hilarious. That is troll 100% right there. Aaron says, found it. Amanda says, okay. Mr. P says, most of us are in some sort of pain, I think. Most of us are over 35. Just life on life's terms, really. Right on. Aaron says, black means on right. Black means on right. I don't know what that means. No, I don't know what that means. Amanda says, yes. Well, Amanda knows what it means. I missed that statement. Aaron says, then I'm in love, chat. Right on. Who are you in love with? Mr. P says, I hope everyone feels as good as they can, though. I love our community, even though I'm pretty sure I'm not everyone's favorite person. Well, you're my favorite person. I love you, John. Don't you worry about that. You're as welcome here as anyone is, and we love you. Junior says, watermelons. Nice. Aaron says, live. Excellent. I am in live. Right. That makes more sense. If you're in live chat, that's where you're supposed to be. What it is says, like bungee jumping with water horses. Yeah. Aaron says, Junior, you hungry? Watermelon. I like watermelon. Fab Daddy says, Trump meme coin is another problem for me. Trump selling Trump coin while in office. He is not there for the American people. He's serving himself. Okay. As opposed to what? As opposed to Nancy Pelosi insider trading? Do you know what the Trump coin is for? You know where the profits of that go? Do you know that Trump has not taken a paycheck at all for being president for 4 years? And now, you know he didn't take his paycheck? That's $400,000 that he donated back to the different departments in the executive branch. He didn't take that money. Did you know that? It would be kind of weird. It would be kind of weird if you thought he was being self-serving, knowing that he did not take money to be president. Interesting. Amy says, yummy watermelon. I almost bought a small one today at the store. I opted for mangoes instead. Nice. I don't like mangoes. Aaron says mangoes sound good. I don't know why. I just don't like them. I like peaches, but I don't like mangoes. They have a funny aftertaste. And it's also hard to get them off of the pit. Amanda says, LOL, Jake, you're a big daddy. I'm a something. Junior says, message retracted. Aaron says, I'm going to the store. I need snacks now. Right? Making me hungry, too. Amy says, watermelon. Mr. P says, there's a king now. The queen passed a few years back, right? No, I wasn't saying that she was queen now. I was saying that the queen gave up her power, the power of the monarchy. I know there's a king now. King Charles, is it? Something like that. Fab Daddy says, can I ask which poll Jake is referring to with Trump's approval ratings at 50%? I said it was above 50%. And you have to go through several polls to find that out. Aaron says, LOL, that hammer swung fast. She's a fast hammer swinger. Hang on a second. I'll give you the exact. I have to look it up to give you the exact poll. According to the most recent Gallup poll, Trump has had an approval rating of 44%. His first term overall average was 41% approval rating. That was in the first term. Now it's 44 and above. At any given time during both terms thus far, his lowest to highest approval ratings have ranged between 34 and 49%. A Reuters and Ipsos poll reported as of April 21st, 42% of those surveyed gave him a favorable approval rating and performance in office. Let's see. The Economist shows 41% of the people have a favorable opinion of Trump and 54% disapprove of him, according to the latest update in April 23rd. That's The Economist, which is a left-wing rag. Pew Research shows, as of April 23rd, 40% Americans' approval of Trump and his performance. CNBC shows 44% and 51% disapprove. Well, what this is just his approval rating as far as these polls go, but there's other numbers that you have to add in there. It's not just his performance in office. It's also favorability. It's also versus his last term. There's like 3 different figures, which I'm not seeing right here. You have to go look. There's several different ones. Adversely, Barack Obama went out at 59%, and that's an overall. So right now, as far as the polls go, it's 49% in that area. But there are other numbers, so you have to go read all of the different numbers, and you'll get above 50%, which is what I said. Unfortunately, I don't have the other numbers in front of me. I have to find it. Give me a minute, and I'll find it. That's just the approval rating poll. Let me find the other ones. Google throws up all of the left-wing sources first. So I have to sift through them to find a neutral source. Reuters and Ipsos and The Economist are not good polls. those are the same ones that had Hillary Clinton at 99% to win. So they don't get things right a lot. And job ratings. MSN, New York Times, Indy Star, New York Times. It just keeps repeating New York Times. I'll have to get back to you on that, Fab Daddy, but there are other polls out there, ones that I've seen recently, like in the last day or two. I wasn't quoting a poll when I said that, though. I just said his approval rating is above 50%. I was not quoting a poll. So I'd have to go back through and find where I got that information and bring it to you. I'll put it up in the community chat when I find it. I don't have time to do it right this minute. Amanda says, hurry back, Aaron. Mr. P says, King Charles. That's right. Aaron says, I didn't leave. Amy says, I need to get my motorcycle running or sold. I wish I was closer. I'd come by and fix it for you. Mr. P says, what kind of motorcycle, Amy? It's a 1974 Harley Davidson, I think. I think that's what she said it was. Jordan Scott Mills, what's up? He says, can't even go onto social media right now. Everyone I know is losing their minds about paying back money they owe and signed up for as adults. Oh, we didn't know. Funny how I did. You talking about for college? Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, it's funny how people borrow all that money, and then when it's time to pay it back, they're weirded out. How did that happen? Well, you borrowed it. Linda Davis says, I was going to say that, Mr. P, but I understood the point he was making. Right on. Yeah, I wasn't saying that she's still queen. I was saying that she gave up that power of the monarchy back when she was queen. Amy says, how low can you go? Right on. Mr. P says, Jordan, hello, bro. Jordan says, hey, John. Mr. P says, right, Linda. I just thought Jake might want to know. Absolutely. And Amy says, it's a 74 Harley Sportster. I was right. Aaron says, hello, Jordan. And Mr. P says, long time no see, Jordan. Glad you're back. I hope you're well. Absolutely. Jordan says, fun fact, a lot of Gulf refiners are tooled to refine Boscan, which is a heavy, sour crude only found in Venezuela. LOL. Amy says, welcome back, Jordan. Amanda says, hi, Jordan. Jordan says, hey, Amy and Amanda. Fab Daddy says, 2 types of oil come from the ground. Now, that's not true, but go ahead. Amanda says, I thought you were going to the store, Aaron. Debbie says, I knew a guy. He worked for the local gas company, and his only job was to burn off the excess in underground storage and keep the prices high in the wintertime. Yep, as I said before in other podcasts, along with other things in the world, it's called false scarcity. They make a product scarce so that they can jack the price up on it. And I've said that oil suffers from this same thing that diamonds and other things suffer from. They make an item scarce and then they jack the price up. If it's abundant, it's cheap. But if they have most of it hidden, then they can charge whatever they want to for it. You'd be surprised to know that most of the diamonds that exist in the world today, about 98% of them, are locked away in a storage, and they're the good diamonds. The good ones are not out on the street. Amy says, Debbie, he was a burning man. Aaron says, oh, I'm walking in a second, but I can put on earbuds and take you guys with me. Right on. Amanda says, oh, okay, that's right. At the end of your park. Jordan says, Debbie, he could have controlled the flare depending on the location. It's sometimes more economic to literally burn the natural gas than to save it, and that's usually at the well, however. Right on. Fab Daddy says, Yoko Ono. That's odd. Amy says, Yoko Ono. I agree, Fab. I missed that. Aaron says, yes, Amanda, but I'm careful now. Last time I went, they had a guy out there fighting the air and screaming, and he was on something. So if I go at night, I watch myself. Just carry a big stick or take your dog with you. One thing I know about people who typically fight the air is they don't like big dogs. Amanda says, right, Aaron. He was on a trip. Aaron says, yep, I know. Kevin says, last time I ran, there was a cop behind me. Yeah, last time I ran, I was much, much younger. Amanda says, LOL, Kevin. Aaron says, did you win? Junior says, Gary Faulkner was played by Nicolas Cage in One Man Army, two sides of one coin. Nice. I'll have to look that guy up. Mr. P says 100 is $1. Got it. And Amy says, I like Nicolas Cage. I do too. I think he's a very underrated actor. Sometimes, if he likes the project that he's in, and if it's a good project, he'll turn in a fantastic performance. He's one of the best actors out there. And then sometimes it's a paycheck movie, and it's obvious, and he barely even does anything. One movie he didn't even speak through the whole movie. He said, I'll do it, but I'm not doing any lines. Some of his movies are garbage, but they're also fun to watch because you never know what Nicolas Cage you're going to get. The last thing I saw him in that I was truly impressed was his version of Dracula in the movie. What is the guy that hunts Dracula? What's his name? Van Helsing. It was something like that. It was a movie about Van Helsing's offspring. Can't remember the name of the movie now, but he played Dracula like the old Dracula, like the old 30s Dracula, and it was fantastic. It was the only part of the movie that was any good, by the way. The rest of the movie sucked, but his version was really good. Does anybody know what the name of that movie is? Anyway, if you go find it, it's really a good movie for the Nicolas Cage role. The rest of the movie's not that good, but his part was. I'm trying to think of the name of the movie, but it has something to do with Van Helsing. No. Just look up Nicolas Cage movies. And it's the one where he plays Dracula. Fab Daddy says, the last time I ran to the bathroom before I peed my pants. All right. Kevin says, LOL. And Aaron says, LOL, hope you made it. Mr. P says, just, what was it? Renfield. That's it. Renfield. The name of the movie is Renfield. Go check that out. Mr. P says, I swear Nick Cage is trying to do as many films as possible before he croaks. Yeah, he's got a lot of money to pay, too, because this is a guy that when he made billions of dollars, he went and bought castles and dinosaurs and things like that. I mean, he just blew through his money. He spent money like Prince, or Michael Jackson. And then when the IRS came calling, he lost a bunch of that stuff. And now he's doing every movie he can do to make back the money that he owes the IRS. And Jordan Scott Mills says, Cage movie. Right on. Amy says, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Slayer. That does not have Nicolas Cage in it, but it was a good movie. A little weird, but a good concept for a strange out there movie. Amanda says, Chevy and Toyota have the best towing capacity. Did it? I guess it did. I didn't even see it jump that time. It jumped a lot. All right, here we go. Mr. P says, just a different way to support the channel, Jake. I think more leans towards kids' channel and female channels, Jules. I mean, right. What I'm saying is I don't know how I translate that into money. It doesn't show up as I got any money. So I don't know what they're doing with it. If it goes to YouTube, or I don't see the jewels that he bought. Like, I don't see any representation of that occurrence. So I don't know what that's for, is what I'm saying. And it may be because I'm using OBS and I'm not literally going through YouTube to put the show out. So I don't know. I got to look into that one. Aaron says, we got to troll every 2 shows. It has to be the same people. Probably. Jordan says, the reason you should care about what he says is if you listen and agree with him, or at the very least can respect his position. Right, Jordan. Thank you. I appreciate that. And by the way, you don't have to agree with me. There's no law that says you have to. I'm not running a cult here. You're welcome to your opinion. But as a content creator, I'm going to argue with you because that's my job. But I don't care what you believe. But I appreciate you, Jordan, for saying that. And you don't have to agree with me. And sometimes we get in heated debates about things that we disagree with. But we're all friends, and it's a lovely chat. Everybody here has some input as to what we talk about. And I guess it beats being by yourself on a Saturday night. Aaron says, I agree with Jordan. Well said. Thank you. Amanda says, they come in spirits, Aaron. And when he is in vertical, they will stop soon. Right on. They come in spirits? I didn't see any spirits. But yeah, every time I go vertical, we get more viewers for some reason. It's a YouTube thing. And a lot of younger people come in, and they're the trolley type. So it usually goes for the duration of when I do vertical streams. But it also helps me grow the channel. I usually get quite a few subscribers out of going vertical, which is why I do it. Otherwise, we just sit there at the same number for a year, not a lot of growth. And I need growth and make more money if I'm growing. They come in spurts. Got it. Yeah, that says spirits. So I didn't misread it. Okay. Mr. P says, respect is more and more a rare component in conversations these days. True. And we try to encourage that here. Aaron says, you're right, Amanda. Mr. P says, phenomenal, Jake. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. Amanda says, another pusillanimous troll. I like that word. Aaron says, LOL, Amy, something else. Yes, she is. Kevin says, in my opinion, judges should be held to a higher standard when they break the law because they are responsible for interpreting the law and passing sentences on people that break the law. I understand your point, and to some degree I agree with that because they are knowledgeable about the laws. They are the ones wielding the law, so they should be punished when they break the law on a higher level than other people. That being said, I would just be happy if there was a standard of law for everybody. Right now, there seems to be a double standard where certain people get punished heavily and other people get let free because of who they are, because of what they look like, or because of what party they vote for. And that's not good. And there's a lot of politicians and the types like Fauci and, Nancy Pelosi and, all those people that are basically getting away with murder, and they're never going to go to jail for some of the things they've done. But they constantly talk about putting Trump in jail for not much. If you want to look at who's actually breaking the law, yeah, we could put Trump in jail for the rest of his life for a clerical error that he didn't make himself. One of his lawyers did. We could do that. But what about this person who's insider trading, or this person who has children locked up in their basement? Not going to go to jail for that? Okay. Amy says, that's a good argument, Kevin. It is. And I do see what you're saying there. But I'm more in favor of a universal standard for everybody to have the same laws applied to them equally. Amy says it comes down to accountability. People need to be responsible for their actions or inactions. I agree. Amy says it's getting chilly. Closing the windows. Fab Daddy says, let's talk about Trump's cabinet choices. Pete, segue. With the worst thing the Pentagon has had ever. What worst thing? Can't maintain military ops secretly. You're talking about somebody who used a app that when he got the job was told to use that app. He questioned it then. They said it was protocol. Use that app. And then information got out from that app because a left-wing reporter was included in that app. So really, the person who did the wrong thing was the reporter who put that information out. It wouldn't have got out if the reporter hadn't have put it out. So it wasn't that they were having a conversation. It was that they were being spied on by a left-wing operative, probably put there beforehand for this very thing to occur. You understand how deep state works? They put people in places so that they can cause calamity for the other team. The other team didn't do anything wrong. They were just communicating amongst themselves. The left-wing reporter put that information out into the world. That's why you know about it. Think about that for a minute. It wasn't that he couldn't keep a military op secret. It's that the left-wing operative spilled the beans for the rest of the world to hear so they could point the finger at the other guy. Think about it. Aaron says, 6 of you need to please double tap. Thank you kindly. Yes, there are 25 people in chat and only 14 likes. That math ain't mathing right. Come on, hit that like button. It's free. Kevin says, double tap, hit the like button. If you're using a phone, double tap your screen and it should pull up a place for you to hit the like button. Junior says, San Antone. Right on. Mr. P says, Trump's better because he shoots convo off the cuff. Often to his advisor's dismay, he doesn't care for carefully crafted responses. I agree. And I also think that that's a guy that you would like to have because you know what you're looking at. He's not hiding things from you. He says what he thinks, which is refreshing. Democrats probably won't ever see it that way, though. The Church of Korihor. Why are all the Jesus people sold out to Moscow? I don't know that they have. What are you talking about, Church of Korihor? Aaron says, meaning like the live, Kevin. Like the live. Hit the like button. Fab Daddy says, like when he blamed Ukraine for starting that war. Well, actually, we started that war. I don't think he blamed Ukraine for starting the war. I think he blamed Ukraine for not being able to handle their business during the war. And I believe that they've had many opportunities to stop the war, which Zelensky has blocked. He doesn't want to stop the war. That should tell you something. We started that war by trying to force Ukraine into NATO. And by bad-mouthing Russia for 4 years while Trump was trying to run his job. Amanda says his cabinet, Caroline won her $800 million lawsuit against The View on ABC, and Whoopi, Joy, and the other one, Sonny Halston. Yeah, his cabinet's pretty awesome. Fab Daddy. Kevin says, oh, already hit that. Cool, thank you. Aaron says, thank you, sir. Kevin says, welcome. Jordan says, yeah, this is unironically why I'm a fascist. Like these people squawk about democracy but try to undermine it every chance they get. I just stop pretending I'm not playing the same game they are. I understand. And if fascist wasn't made such a bad word, I would probably agree with you. However, they have changed the meaning of the word. The word fascist comes from the word fasci, which means a bundle of sticks. You take a bunch of sticks and tie them together, and you have a reed, a strong reed. The meaning of fasci means stronger in numbers, and that I agree with. The meaning they're using the word to mean today, I don't agree with. But just like the word Nazi, they've made that word apply to everybody. But it has a meaning. A Nazi is a nationalist socialist. I am a nationalist. I am not a socialist. Kevin says, Amy, stop shitting on the windows. Fab Daddy says the difference between previous administrations and this one in regards to cutting the federal government is a chainsaw versus a scalpel in cutting. Hey, I don't care how it gets cut, as long as it gets cut. Unless you're arguing for the wasted spending that we've been throwing in every direction except home. If you're arguing for that, we might have a problem. If you think that a lesbian basket weaving course in Dubai is a good idea to fund, or, any of the crazy nonsense that they were caught sending money for. I think one of them was like Sesame Street programming in Iraq or something like that. Gay and lesbian appropriate things in other countries. If you think that's what we should be spending our tax dollars on, your country's going to suck when you get it. Aaron says, what does fascist mean? Fascist is from the word fasci, which means a bundle of sticks. The connotation being stronger in numbers. The more people are closely together, the stronger they are together. That's what the word originally meant. Now it means something completely different. It means bad guy now. Hitler-esque. Jordan says, Amy, keep that to yourself, girl, but use gloves to clean it. Just kidding. LOL. Jordan says, pretty sure Palantir got the modernization contract, Jake. Probably. If you're talking about nuclear missiles, I'd like to see that. My guess is they made 2 nuclear weapons. This is completely speculation. And they used them, which were not nuclear weapons. They were atomic weapons, not nuclear weapons. They built up this idea of nuclear energy. Big, big bomb. They talk about it a lot. They don't use them. They have sold a few of them to our enemies, which is a red flag. But my guess is, if I had to guess, all these nuclear silos that are around in Nevada and such, which you can drive across the desert and see them, they're there. And my guess is they don't work and haven't for a very long time. My guess is also that our enemies' nuclear weapons don't work, such as the one that Kim Jong-un has in his parades. And you see the parades with the big missiles, and they're riding down the street bragging about how big their missiles are. Yet everyone he's ever launched has fallen into the ocean because of guiding issues and a myriad of other problems. They can't seem to get their program off the ground because they don't work. My guess is that the whole nuclear fear thing is just that, a way to scare people into submission, that they don't actually have anything to back it up. And the reason I think that is because there are no infrastructure in place to handle said nuclear weapons. If we had the largest or second largest arsenal in the world of nuclear weapons, there would be an infrastructure to handle those things, to maneuver them, to move them, to maintain them, to any number of things. When's the last time you've heard of the football being updated? You hear about it, but have you ever seen it? Do you know what it looks like? So my guess is it's all hooey. I don't know if I believe that or not, but I lean very strongly in that direction. My guess is we don't have nuclear weapons, and neither does anybody else. Also, all of the nuclear testing videos that they showed, the ones from the 30s, the black and white ones that show these fake villages getting blown up in the desert, all those are fake. They're not real. I can prove that. Amanda says, "Hey, church, welcome." And Amy says, "Oops, typo. I shut the door and can't connect the internet. Oh, no." Aaron says, "LOL. We know you shit the door, Amy." LOL. Shit the door. Shit the window. I don't care. Kevin says, $37 trillion debt is leading to the complete collapse of the dollar. Your cash will be worthless. Well, we all know that's coming. If we've read the Bible, you know that's going to happen. Amy says, "Somebody has to." Aaron says, "A whole door?" Kevin says, "Amy, LOL." Jordan says, "Fab Daddy, be happy he brought the chainsaw, because I would have brought kerosene and a match." Right. Yeah, nobody seems to be talking about that. If he were truly trying to cause trouble, he would have just shut the whole thing down. He didn't do that. He's just strategically moving some of the riffraff out that are losing control of their spending. And, you know, all of those dead people that are getting Social Security, all those 300-year-old people, for example, that's a thing we kind of want to be removed out of the budget. There is no oversight. These people have been running roughshod with our money for decades, all lining their pockets every way they can. Doge is a good thing, Fab Daddy. Let them work. Let them cut out the fat and tighten up everything. And I promise you, in several years, when all of that has been done, it will be a more efficient, more smooth-running government that costs way less to you. Amy says, "Just mixing it up. Anyone can shit on a shingle. But a door, that's advanced crapology." I like how you think. Fap Daddy's retracting messages, so apparently I won that argument. Kevin says, LOL, and Aaron says, LOL facts, Amy. Aaron says, crapping doors and star farting. Amy says, he's working for free, but yeah, sure, he's in it for himself. I tried to make that point. They don't seem to understand that. Trump spent $26 million on golf excursions so far this year. That's his money, not the government's money. He can spend his money on whatever he wants to. What are you saying? Trump bought a car. Jesus Christ, we need to crucify him. You make it sound like he's costing taxpayers for $26 million. He's not. Kevin Bernard says, I love the way Democrats turned against Elon. Yeah, isn't that weird? He was their darling until he supported Trump, and all of a sudden now he's the devil. And they're keying each other's cars to prove how much they dislike him. Hilarious. Boy, I'm tired puppy today. Hey, hit that like button, everybody. Like, subscribe, share, support, join in. Super chats are available in the chat box, but if you really love me, hit that CashApp, $JakeJohnsonBand. I would appreciate that. Amy says, golf is relaxing for some. It's a stressful job, but how many vacation days did Biden take? 2 to 3 of his administration? That's a good question there, Fab Daddy. How many days was Biden on a beach with no shirt on, sleeping? Jordan says, Fab Daddy, how much did Biden spend on ice cream? ? Right? What is this exactly unironically? You realize we were funding Afghani horses to learn about trans rights and shit like that, right? That's what was my point. I can't remember all the details, but they were all nonsense. All of the things that they have cut out so far, they were all nonsense. Not one of them was a thing I saw I'd like to have kept. Not one. I didn't see anything in there about orphanage hospitals or fixing roads or any of the things you think the government's doing. It was all nonsense that you don't think the government would be doing. All of it. And I'm glad that they've put a stop to it. And I hope they keep doing it. Amanda says, it's a severe case of Trump derangement syndrome and Elon derangement syndrome, Kevin. Yep. Oh, Trump derangement syndrome ain't a syndrome. They've all gone and completely lost their minds. From California all the way to Pennsylvania, they've all succumbed to Trump derangement mania. Losing their damn minds. Amy says, are you jealous of his big putter? Just kidding. Yeah, I bet his deck is big. Amanda says, LOL, golf. Cow pasture pool. Fab Daddy says Elon has a crappy truck and he thought his money could buy him popularity. A political favorite. Well, it did. So there's that. And yes, it's a crappy truck. Newsflash. Electric cars are subsidized by the government. It will never be a thing. Ever. Susan Keating, thank you for the subscription. Welcome to the show. Listen, electric cars have always been a bad idea. They've always been used as a way to subsidize and make money from the government. It's just a thing. It's another scam like green energy. It's never going to be a thing. It's never going to catch on. It's never going to be mainstream. It's always going to be on the fringes, and it will come and go. It will vanish as quickly as it showed up. And then again, driverless cars will never be a thing. This is all nonsense. Elon Musk is not the African savior of the world. He's just another guy who got smart while he was running businesses for the government. He also runs SpaceX. He's the guy, in case you didn't know, that went up there and saved the astronauts who Joe Biden left in space for 9 months. He could have done it under Biden's administration. They didn't want him to because he supported Trump. So they left 2 astronauts in space for 9 months who were slowly dying the whole time from radiation poisoning. And both were sick when they came home. So, yeah, Elon does have a crappy truck. It's a crappy electric truck. It's an electric truck. If you need a truck and you buy an electric one, you deserve to be on the side of the road. There's that. Elon Musk is a person. I think he's all right, dude. I don't think he's nearly as smart as everyone else thinks he is. I haven't seen him do anything that impressive. Nothing that I couldn't do. if I put my mind to it and did what he did and didn't mind robbing the American people of their tax dollars to subsidize my completely useless invention. I could have done that too. Neither here nor there. He did support Trump and is now currently functioning as a part of the White House and the administration. So, political favor? Yeah, check. What's your point? His popularity did buy him political favor, but it didn't have anything to do with his crappy truck. Vera Lynn says, Trump drove by me this morning. His son has a house in my neighborhood. LOL. Really? Interesting. That's wild. Jordan says, I'm literally just going to say it. If Obama was white, he would have lost. You literally just said it. Maybe. I'm sure that had a lot to do with his popularity because of the DEI that they've been pushing from a long time back that has now become mainstream and also reached its zenith and is going away as we speak. People are waking up to that nonsense now. They're starting to see that it is not the right way to do things, that it is going to hurt us in the long run because Martin Luther King had it right. Martin Luther King Jr. had it right. You judge a man by the content of his character, not by the color of his skin, not by any immutable characteristic. You judge a man based on what he's made of. And if you do that, you get the best man for the job. Obama had a lot of things going for him, one of which was his ability to speak to a crowd. He's a brilliant orator. You get that guy off script, though, and he's a stuttering moron. He doesn't even sound smart because he's not. He's an empty vessel. And you put the right words in front of him and he delivers them with pizzazz. He should have been an actor because that's what actors do. They don't have brains either. They pretend. That's all Biden did. He didn't get elected because he was black, but it did help him a lot in the race because that's the currency they were trading in those days. Obama also brought back all this hate, this race baiting stuff that's going on now. That was gone. Almost gone. I mean, you didn't hear about it. If you did hear about it, it was a joke before Obama. Once he got into office, he stoked all those flames, and then all the Democrats came in and lockstep behind him, and each one doing their part to make that a thing. Why? Why would they do that? Well, because a divided house is easier to control. That's why. And if they have you fighting about race, they can do things that they can get away with because you're not paying attention to them. You're fighting about race. So they invent a problem, and then they sell you the solution to the problem. It's pretty smart if you think about it. But that's exactly what happened. Amanda says, LOL, he has the only civilian bulletproof vehicle. Elon? Probably. Sadly, though, he probably needs it. Or if you're talking about the truck is not bulletproof. It's not arrow-proof. I've seen Joe Rogan put an arrow through the door. It's not steel ball-proof because I saw his own people put a steel ball through the window. It sounds good, though. Amy says, pick a target. Geez, flopping back and forth. It's illogical. Right. Well, they do that because they don't actually have an argument, Amy. And Fab Daddy mostly is just pushing buttons so that I have something to argue about because in his way, that's how he helps me create content for this channel. I truly believe that. I don't believe he believes half the stuff he says to the degree he says it. But that being said, most Democrats jump around like that because they don't have an argument. They have a bunch of little nitpicky things, and if you string enough of them together, it sounds like a problem. But it's not really a problem. And the average person don't give a shit about most of those things. Kevin says, Fab Daddy, why did all the Democrats love Elon before he purchased Twitter and then hated him after? Well, because before that, he was one of them. After that, he was the guy setting free speech back to its rightful place, which goes against the Democrat narrative. Democrats don't like free speech. Amanda says, that's how the Democrats work, Amy. Aaron says, LOL, bulletproof, but you can move mulch. Yeah, with your Cybertruck. I wouldn't put anything of value in the back of that truck that I needed to haul because it probably shut off halfway there and need to be recharged. It's probably more than that, Amanda. Amanda says 65% of Tesla owners are Democrat. I think it's probably more like 85% or 90%. Most Republicans like vehicles. They also like trucks and cars, muscle cars, things like that. I don't think a lot of Republicans are buying Teslas. There are some cool ones, though. That Tesla S is pretty sweet. Vera says, well, he was in a big SUV with a bunch of cops around him. I guess that is bulletproof. Amanda says, LOL, Aaron, I didn't say all that. Aaron's laughing. Amy says, if they paint a Cybertruck like the General Lee, it could be General Electric. Nice. That I would like to see. I saw somebody that had a Ford F-150 the other day, and they had a bumper sticker that said, I identify as a Cybertruck. Debbie says, I do not trust left-leaning polls. That poll left-leaning people, the left-leaning polls poll the people that they want to poll so they get the answer they want to have. That's true. All polls are like that, left and right. I don't trust polls at all because they're usually wrong. And I didn't get polled, so they're not doing a very big swath of America. So, I don't know where they get those numbers. But I do find it funny that President Trump is favorable at around 40% for the left-leaning people. Right. But if you listen to the right-leaning, it's much higher. And I got my information from a myriad of places, and I put it all together. There's like 3 numbers you got to look for. One of them is his approval rating. The other one is his performance, and the other one is something else I can't remember right off the top of my head. But I will get that information and put it out there because it needs to be known that he's doing a pretty good job, and most people overall think he is. Amanda says, oh yeah, Rachel, Trump's SUV is definitely bulletproof, but it's not a civilian vehicle. I was referring to Fab Daddy's comment. Yeah, he rides around in presidential vehicles, which are bulletproof and bomb-proof, and usually have a few pints of his blood on hand in case he needs it. I know it's gruesome, but I don't know if you realize that or not, but he travels with blood. So do all presidents. And a medical staff. Vera says, oh, I see. Well, he's been in my neighborhood often. Trump's golf course is near me. He's got a few of those. Amanda says, LOL, Amy, good one. General Electric. I would pay money to ride around in that thing. Aaron says, I wonder how much the RC car can tow. RC car. Are you talking about the Cybertruck? They said that it's comparable to a regular pickup truck of that size. It's faster, though. It goes faster than a regular pickup truck. But as far as its tow capacity, it's pretty much the same as any other truck that size. But the one thing they're not talking about, and this is something I know because I use a lot of things that use batteries, like my wireless packs for my guitars and stuff. Batteries lose power exponentially. Like it takes maybe 10 minutes to charge up to 80%. And then it'll take 2 hours to charge from 80% to 100% because it takes the most of the energy to fill out that battery. The first 80% is pretty easy to get. And as you get closer to 100%, it takes more and more and more time. Well, they lose power that same way. You might drive around all day long on the first 80%, but that last 10% will go like that. Well, the problem is there are not charging stations all over the place. There are many, many places that do not have charging stations. So you have to be within limit of a charging station to use an electric vehicle. So if you live out in the country, for example, where most people that have pickup trucks live, you have to drive to town to get to a charging station, find one, and then charge to go do your business. You can charge it at the house, but if you got to go more than 50 miles, you're going to lose that power exponentially, and you're going to end up in a situation where you're out on the road with a load, something comes up and you can't get to a charging station on time, and you're stuck on the side of the road. Or it's wintertime and batteries die in cold weather, so you're stuck on the side of the road. Guess what you can't do if your car battery is dead? You can't run your heat. So, Cybertruck is a big pain in the ass from a perspective of trying to get things done. I don't want one. Amanda says the Tesla Cybertruck has a maximum towing capacity of 11,000 pounds, and dual and tri-motor models have this capacity, while a single motor rear-wheel drive model is rated at 7,500 pounds. It also has a payload capacity of 2,500 pounds. There you go. Kevin says, Aaron, are you talking about the Cybertruck? I think he was. Yep. I'm Moo. Welcome to the show. I'm Moo says, I got two things I believe in. My Bible and my AR-15. God bless the USA. I'm Moo. God bless you. I believe in those things also. Amanda says, hello, I'm Moo. Welcome. Aaron says, that's on full charge. I wonder for how long. Exactly. It'll be on full charge for a little while, and then it'll drop off significantly. It's just, it crushes a Ford in towing capacity, says Kevin. Yeah, but for how long? It doesn't crush a Ford in getting up a hill or towing that capacity from one place to another place and getting it there on time. What I'm saying is there's more to the story than just the towing capacity. There's other factors to consider. Aaron says, that's nice. Fab Daddy says, I found out the receiver hitch on a Tesla truck can only handle 10,000 pounds before the whole rear bumper falls off the frame. The frame is cast aluminum. There's another thing to consider. Doesn't matter what its towing capacity is. If the receiver hitch can't handle the weight, it doesn't matter. Mr. P says, I'll take a regular Chevy over a Cybertruck any day, except for the difference in cost. If I take the Cybertruck, I can sell it and get a truck and a boat. Now that's thinking. That might be a doable thing right there. Buy the Cybertruck and then turn around and flip it and then have money to spare plus a new truck. I like that, etc. Amanda says 165 miles on a full charge with a load. All right. Anybody ever had to run around town all day? Tell me how fast you get to 165 miles while running around in town all day. So basically, on top of having to run around town all day, you also have to find time to charge, which takes about 2 hours to get 80%. You'll be there all day if you want to get a full 100% charge, because that last 10% takes a long time to reach. The 80% might get you home. It might even get you to your destination and then home. But just think about having to do that every time you go somewhere. It doesn't seem like a better option to me. It seems like a worse option to me. Aaron says, that's what I was wondering, because we do specs, and on all paper it sounds good, but I'd have to see it. Right, well, on paper it is good. All of the numbers are fabulous, but then there's the reality of doing it, and that matters. And if a person doesn't have experience in life, they're not even going to consider the doing it. They're just going to look at the shiny paperwork and buy it. And then they're stuck with a truck they can't use. Here's another question. What happens when that truck, that Cybertruck, gets stuck in the mud? You ever been stuck in the mud before? How long did it take you to get out? And what did you have to do to get out? And what do you think that does on the battery of an electric vehicle? What if you stress that electric motor, if it's got one motor, and you stress it, what happens? What if a sunspot hits? What if it rains? You know, there's a thousand things that could go wrong with an electric vehicle that is not necessary, and a problem that's already been solved. So you're trying to reinvent the wheel with the electric car, but the wheel has already been perfected. So what are you doing, really? It's like when they invented the remote control. We're going to invent technology that will allow you to sit on the couch and change the TV channel so you don't have to get up and walk over to the TV anymore. How many things did remote control things cause to change the way society works? It's not a benefit. Now we have a TV that we can sit on our bed and flip through thousands of channels and find nothing to watch. So we spend all our time searching. Back in the day, you'd get up, walk to the TV, flip the channel once, and you had something to watch. Is that better? I don't think it is. That was a bad example, but you got my point. Amanda says 11,000 pounds, Fab. Aaron says, Amanda, I will have new robotic videos. I'll send you. I have new robotic videos that I'll send you. I'm in them, actually. I'm actually in them. Awesome. Well, if they're good ones, if you get something decent, I'll put it up and share it with everybody. Show me what your robots can do. Do something cool, and I'll put the video up and share it with my viewers. Not that you can't do that, but it's my way of helping. Kevin says electric cars and trucks would be better than gas and diesel if and when we have better batteries. Yeah, well, that's the problem. We don't have better batteries. We have lithium-ion batteries, and they have flaws. I'm not sure that we can push that technology much further. I think we pretty much got the best batteries we can have. Because there's a cause and effect kind of thing in play here. You have to have a battery's capacity, quickness to charge it, and its ability to last. Those three things matter. And I think we probably got as far as we can get, unless some new material is invented somewhere down the road. With current technology and current material, I think we're at the height of the battery industry. They're not making better batteries. Jordan says The Wicker Man is a good low budget. The movie, Wicker Man? Yeah. Talking about Nicolas Cage movies? Yeah, it was a good movie. It was a little weird. Mr. P said, I swear Nick Cage is trying to do as many films as possible before he croaks. Right on. Jordan says, Cage movie. Amy says, Abraham Lincoln, Vampire Slayer. Amanda says, Chevy and Toyota they have the best towing capacities. I would take a Toyota over a Chevy, hands down, every day, because Toyotas don't break down that often. Mr. P says, that was actually not a bad flick, Amy. Not at all. Monkey Two Shoes, welcome to the show. He says, just thinking, you don't see as many parrots since the decline of pirates. You see them, they're just involved with old ladies now. Sorry, my chat jumped again. That was a good point, though. Come on now. I'll find it in a minute. Hang on. Here we go. I found it. Thank you, Amy. God bless you, sweetheart. I appreciate that. Amy just hit me with a $5 super chat on PayPal. Thank you very much. Amy says, hi, Monkey Two Shoes. Mr. P says, that was a weird movie. Right on. Amanda says, hi, Monkey, welcome. Amy Elizabeth says, Jake missed a bunch in chat. I went back to it. Jordan says, I didn't have the heart to tell him. Not gonna lie. Well, I caught it. I have a person watching me, so when I screw up, she catches me on it, and I go get back to it. Amanda says, caught it. He went back. Miss P says, I think it would show in your pay monthly. It might. I'd have to look. I don't get any notification of it in the moment, though. That puzzles me a little, but I'll look at the monthly statement and see what it says. But thank you, John, for doing that. Jordan says, I thought the jewels were a Twitch thing. Weird. I think YouTubers trying anything they can to get as much as they can. Amy says, family jewels? No, the jewels that you can buy on Super Chats. Not really sure why they don't just Super Chat the money. That seems like another example of trying to fix the wheel. It's already been made. We have a Super Chat function, and I have a Cash App. The jewel thing ain't helping anybody. If it was, like if 50% of that went to an orphanage or something, that would make sense. But just, here's another way to make money that you don't get. That doesn't seem logical to me. Aaron, Amanda will take care of that. I don't have time to read it, but she's on it. Kevin says, LOL. Mr. P says, yep, they were, Jordan. They're new here. Amanda says, LOL, Amy. Amy says, family jewels, that Twitch. That could be problematic. Family jewels, that Twitch. Well, some people like to watch them twitch. Mr. P says, haha. Amanda says, LOL, Amy. She was just telling me the other night how they rolled around. Never mind. Too much information. Aaron says, it's set. Jewels are vertical gift. They are 1 cent. Okay, so 1 cent. So 100 of them makes $1. Okay, makes sense. Jordan says, I know on Twitch it's kind of like a wallet, so people send you the jewels, but you can send the jewels to others as well. I have no idea. I've not seen anything in any of my settings that tell me how to use that function. I've heard about it. A few people have sent me jewels, but I don't know where they go, and I have not figured out how to use that function. I don't know. Hey, we went over 1,000 views tonight. So far, 1,237 views. Rock on. Great job, chat. Amy says, they come in spurts. That's what she said. Spurts, not spirits. It said spirits. So I wasn't wrong. Jordan says, without having to change them back, that is. I got you. If you don't change them into money, you could send them to other people. Got it. I haven't seen where I could do that yet. Mr. P says, Jake's on my notifications list, but I can scroll vertically many times. I've ended up on some weird Asian lady's channel by bumping the screen. Oh, no. Jordan says, Mr. P, legit. Always some like Cambodian cooking stream in the forest. Right, I've seen those. Or a guy digging a hole and making a sub-basement on the beach with a cup and a bamboo. Something like that. Amy says, I'm falling asleep sitting here. I'll try to hold on, but just in case, see y'all for Bible study tomorrow. Amy, get you some sleep, honey. It's all right. I'm going to try to make it to the bottom of the chat and bail out myself. Vera says, Jake, come on. No one told him to use Signal to discuss that information. That's incorrect. They did tell him to use Signal. Retired agents say they can only use laptops that are monitored 24/7. Yes, when he got that job, they gave him a laptop that had Signal installed, and he did ask about it, and they said that it was standard protocol, that he was more than welcome to use it. That did happen. That was not, I didn't make that up. Signal is one of those things. All government agents should be on government-issued hardware. They should not be able to use social media of any kind. I don't even know why they're allowed to use Twitter. That seems odd to me. It did when they started it back in the day, and it still does. It seems like all of that is an excuse to get out into the public and cause problems. But they do. They use Twitter, and they use other things, Facebook, and they use Signal. Which is why they were having the conversation on Signal. I'm telling you, that was a setup. They were put in that position. Mr. P says it was leaked to the reporter. No, the reporter was part of the list of people that had access to that chat. I don't know exactly how Signal works, but I assume you have to have a friends group, a list of friends, and you send a chat and it goes to all the friends, kind of like Facebook Messenger group works. I'm assuming it's like that. And he was on the list. Why those guys didn't see him on the list is beyond me. They should have checked, but they didn't. They were texting amongst themselves, and he was listening in. And when they talked about whatever they were getting involved in, this battle that was about to happen, he reported them for doing it. He shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been privy to that conversation. They shouldn't have been talking on a social platform. All the things were wrong about the scenario, but they were set up to be in that position. But it wasn't a leak. He was in the conversation when they had it. Jordan says, night, just in case, Amy. Aaron says, thank you for your company, Amy. Absolutely. Kevin says, Amy, I just woke up from my coma. Wow. What were you doing in a coma? Fab Daddy says, not to mention having his wife join him in the meetings. You mean like Joe Biden was running the meetings for Joe Biden? What are you talking about? Vera Lynn says, exactly, Fab. No reason for his wife to be there. Are you talking about the First Lady? Vera Lynn hit me with a $9.99 super chat. Thank you, Vera. I appreciate that. She says, here you go. I don't know what to say, but here, night. Thank you. I appreciate you, honey. It means a lot. Thank you very much. And you said just right thing. Here you go. Are you talking about the First Lady? The First Lady is the First Lady. She has a right to be there, as all First Ladies have been. But go back to Joe Biden, and his First Lady was running the meetings while Joe Biden was dozing off. She was making decisions. So why isn't anybody upset about that? I might be talking about something I'm wrong on. I don't know whose wife you're referring to, but if you're referring to the First Lady, that's my response. Vera says she wasn't even qualified to have the clearance to be in those meetings. No, you're right. The First Lady is the First Lady. She's not the president. She doesn't have any right to be presidential. But what meetings are we talking about to start with, and what kind of meetings? Maybe she was allowed to be there. Maybe it wasn't a clearance thing. I don't know. Jordan says, Church of Culahor, Lamau. Somebody hates their Mormon parents. Interesting. Pete Hegseth is his name, by the way. Not Segway. Hegseth. Hegseth received the information he put on Signal chats straight from Central Command via a secure government system. Vera says, you don't use Signal. That's the whole point. No other agent ever has used it. No, that's not true. They all use Signal. They were using Signal during the whole thing in Pennsylvania when Trump got shot. They were talking on Signal then. Lots of agencies use Signal. One of the things that they're talking about is that they were communicating with the shooter on Signal, or somebody was. Signal has a thing. It's been around for a while. Look into it. I think you're just caught off guard by talking about it. But trust me, it's been a thing for a while now. Amanda says, lots of them do, just like Zoom and Teams. Yeah, people use Zoom a lot too. Vera says, okay, well, everything Special Agent Retired says they use top secret communication channels, and Signal is not one of them. LOL, if you think it's okay to use Signal to talk about top secret stuff, I didn't say that. You said that. I didn't say that. All I said was they're all doing it. I didn't say it was okay. I'm responding to a question about Signal. I didn't bring up that information. I didn't say that it was all right for them to do so. What I said was they were put into position to do that. It was brought up when they got the job, and they were told that it was standard operating procedure, that everybody was using Signal, so they used it. They don't know that it's not a government-issued thing. What difference is there between Signal and a government-issued communication system? Do you know? Does it have a name? And if it does, how is that name different than Signal, especially if you don't know anything about Signal? I never heard of Signal until they started talking about it. And I'm in social media. I never heard of that software before. So it's reasonable to me that they didn't either. Republicans or not, it's absurd. Is it? How is it absurd? They have to communicate, right? How do you communicate? I'd say just make a phone call, or better yet, go visit them. I don't know how that works. Sometimes they get in a skiff, which is a soundproof, electric-proof room. It's in a Faraday cage, so no electronics work inside the skiff. And they talk about things, and then they leave the skiff. They're not allowed to bring anything in or out of the skiff. Can't take notes and that sort of thing. So that's one way they do it. But how else do federal agents communicate with one another? Do you know? Is it really that absurd that they use a software that most people have never heard of? Probably was invented for that very reason, actually. Amanda says, I didn't say it was okay. I'm just saying it was supposed to be secure. Yeah, I didn't say that either. Cody Johns, this ain't the place for that kind of talk, buddy. Vera says, well, him thinking Signal is something the government would approve to discuss highly classified information and another issue. Well, they didn't discuss highly classified information. They were discussing tactical plans, which probably should not be listened to, but were not classified. Let's get the information right. They were not discussing classified information. They were discussing battle plans, which were not classified. But they probably should not have been doing that in public anyway, and they wouldn't have been if the reporter hadn't reported what they said. Jordan says, I don't fully believe this, but but some people suggest that nuclear weapons don't exist and that Hiroshima was a firebomb. The rest is history. Well, I don't fully believe it either, but I lean in that direction because Hiroshima was absolutely an atomic bomb. It was not a nuclear bomb, and there is a difference. That being said, I don't know whether they have nuclear bombs or not. I've never seen any evidence that they were maintaining or operating a nuclear arsenal or any company that is involved in said maintenance. So I would lean towards the idea that it's probably hoaxy, but I don't know. But I'm not the only person that thinks that either. And I don't know, I'm not fully committed to that. I don't know that I believe that. It's just one of those things of the many myriad of things that I question, which I didn't used to question, but the government lied to me enough that I started questioning everything they said. Amanda says, we don't care, Cody. Take that crap elsewhere. Colty. Fab Daddy says submarines. What about submarines? Are you saying submarines and that submarines have nuclear weapons? Really? Robert Plank says Christ died for sinners. Of course he did. Who else would he die for? Amanda says, hi, Robert. Welcome. Fab Daddy says, Bimini explosion of nuclear bomb was real film footage. Well, you say so. And Aaron says, are you sure, Fab Daddy? Are you 100% on that one? Amanda says, no, it wasn't, Fab. Fab Daddy says, yes, there was multiple sailors that watched and filmed. Filmed and watched what? Aaron says, LOL, I'm in the service. I'll bow out. Well, again, I'm not married to that idea, but it is one that's out there, and I do question many, many things. And by the way, the footage that I've seen of nuclear tests for nuclear bombs, which is not the same thing as an atom bomb, by the way, or a hydrogen bomb, not the same thing. They were fake. I can prove that. It's not a question. They were absolutely propaganda. Now, I've never seen an actual testing of a nuclear weapon, although it doesn't make sense to me that you would test something like that on your own soil. That doesn't sound right to me. They have been testing something, though. As a matter of fact, there was a movie that the cowboy, the Duke, what's his name? John Wayne. There's a movie that John Wayne was in about Egypt. They filmed it in the desert on a nuclear testing site. And every member of that cast and crew died of cancer shortly thereafter because they disturbed the soil that was beneath the dirt there where they were testing. They all got sick. So that's a real thing. That really happened. Does that translate to we have working nuclear weapons? No, it doesn't. But they definitely have been playing with it for a while. Whether they are successful or not is up in the air. I tend to not listen when people say things that are fear tactics. You know, people trying to scare you with the 2 minutes to midnight and all that stuff. Going orange and whatever. DEFCON 4. I tend to not listen to those things. Those are most likely hyped up to scare me. And I don't scare very easily. That being said, I have no idea what they have. I would probably think the real danger is the weapons we don't know about. Because they definitely have some of that. And they're talking about that in the news this week, actually, about some of the things that we're capable of. One guy slipped up and said that they had the capability of manipulating time and space with their weaponry. That happened this week. That sounds a lot like a time machine, doesn't it? I don't know what they have. I would say if there's something scary out there, it's probably what you don't know. The fact that we know so much about nuclear testing and nuclear bombs and everybody's got one and that's what everybody's fighting over, that sounds to me like propaganda. If they have a weapon that can eviscerate a human being, I'd be way more scared of that. Anyway. Amanda says, what about Biden's paid beach vacations we paid for? Right on. Fab Daddy says, what kind of service and how much? I think he means the military. And he probably has a better understanding of these things than I do. And it's probably why he's bowing out, because I'm over here making a fool of myself. But that's beside the point. I'm not wrong to question everything. Amanda says, at least Trump pays for his own shit. Right on. Mr. P says, how's it even possible he spent $26 million in golf excursions in less than 5 months? I challenge those numbers wherever they came from. Sounds like hoopla. Well, there's a lot of that going on. People repeating things that they've heard, because most of us, and let's be honest about it, most of us are operating on information that we heard. Most of us do not have firsthand information about these things. I was called out on that very thing earlier when asked which polls I was quoting. I wasn't quoting polls because I don't know the actual numbers. So most of us do that on a regular basis. And the point is, what about this thing that I question? That's really what they're saying. All right, well, that's why we're here, to discuss those things. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, and everybody has them. So let's talk about it. That's what Politi-tics is for us to lose our minds and get political and then be okay at the end of it. It's a stress relief valve. That's what Politi-tics is. And Aaron says, I've been in the Army for 20 years, Fab. And Amanda says, Amy says, Amanda, tell Jake to check his PayPal. I just did, and thank you for that. God bless you. Amanda says, okay, Amy, and thank you. Fab Daddy says, you got wings, Aaron? Mr. P says, Biden took his whole presidency off on vacation in his Alzheimer's ass having mind. Wasn't in office a single day. Wow. Shots fired. Aaron says, do you, Sir Fab Daddy? Do you have your wings? Fab Daddy says, yep, I got wings. Jordan says, even if it was all we built a bridge in Iraq. Even if it was all we built a bridge in Iraq. Well, they probably shouldn't have overthrown the guy who built their bridges in the first place, huh? Like, sorry, bro, not my problem. Got our own bridges. I agree with that. I think what he's saying is, why are we spending so much money in foreign countries fighting things that have nothing to do with anybody here? We got our own problems. We should close all the borders, close up shop, and focus on what's going on here for a while. Get this place running at top efficiency, and then we can worry about everybody else's nonsense. I think that's what he's saying. And I agree with that. Amanda says, I got it, Amy. Thank you, hon. Or we got it. And thank you for subscribing, Suzanne Keating. Welcome to the show. Hope you find something you enjoy tonight. Aaron says that would be Army aviator, sir. Or aviation. Yeah, he's an Army, like the ground guys. Amy says, Red Bull gives you wings. Some maxi pads do too. Well, in that case, I still don't have any. Fab Daddy says, I work for a living and not a commissioned officer. So can you stop calling me sir? I think he's being respectful. And why would he stop doing that? I like well-mannered young men in my presence. I like people that show other people respect as a sign of entreating one another with a conversation, which is how you're supposed to approach the world instead of, saying fart or something dirtier. I don't know. Aaron says it's a sign of respect, Fab. See, I told you. I know what I'm talking about. Vera says he loves being called Daddy, Aaron. Just call him Daddy. Church of Korihor says, how does it feel to have lived to turn into a Russian turncoat? Well, I don't know who you're referring to, but I hate to tell you this, but I don't know a thing about Russia. I've never been to Russia. I don't care about Russia. It wouldn't hurt my feelings if Russia fell off the face of the earth tomorrow. It means nothing to me. So if I'm a Russian turncoat, I'm a piss poor one because I don't give a shit about the fatherland or whatever you call it. How about that? How does it feel to be a completely useless moron that lives in his mama's basement with special underwear on, trying to act like a smart person in a room full of smart people that could eat your breakfast every day of the week with half their brain tied behind their back? How does it feel to be that? I like mine better. What about you? Fab Daddy says, Daddy works. Release the Kraken. You don't know who you're messing with, Church of Core Horror. I will eat you up and take your lunch money and then date your friend. Just because it hurts you. Aaron says, what are you getting at? Fab Daddy says, so is ma'am, but lots of women don't like it. Well, I try not to associate with those women. Church of Core Horror says, ha-ha, good comeback. Smart move. Debbie says electric vehicles was just one of the first steps to 15-minute cities. Yeah, well, you should do yourself a favor and look up the first car that was ever invented. The first whole cloth car. 4 wheels, 2 doors, roof. First real car that ever was invented. And take a look at that. Take a gander at it. You'll notice something very interesting about it. It don't have a motor. It has an electric motor. It is an electric car with a big battery. First car ever made. Isn't that interesting? This is not a new idea, is what I'm saying. We built the first car was an electric car, and then we went in favor of gasoline because it's more efficient, more reliable, more trustworthy, and make more money selling them. That's why we do that. Amy Elizabeth says, I like petticoats better than turncoats. Me too. Especially like getting under them. I'm guessing, though, the Church of Core Horror does not know what a petticoat is, nor has he ever seen one up close. Probably in a magazine, though. But he probably has to wear those special underwear while he's looking at it because, dirty stuff. Anyway. Fab Daddy says, 20 years, Aaron, is a big commitment. Thank you. It is. And God bless you for your service. Anybody who is a member of the armed forces of any kind, hoorah, and all that stuff. Aaron says, you have wings, so I'm thankful to you. Right on. Debbie says, DEI just means didn't earn it. Amen, sister. Amanda says, DEI is entitlement and privilege. Amen, sister. Fab Daddy says, yeah, well, I wanted to jump out of those planes. I might be a fool, but the rush was spectacular. Well, you see, you can tell a lot about a person by their personality, and the fact that your first thought was, hey, there's a great big old plane, I want to jump out of it, should tell you that you're a put the cart before the horse kind of guy, because those were intended to keep you in the air, not drop you out of it. And also, you have perfectly good feet. Why would you want to get in an airplane in the first place? To jump out of it? Something psychological, something psychology. Landon Sellers. Probably shouldn't be talking like that in a place like this, Landon. Although that does sound like a good time. But I think you would probably need to look in the weirdo department for that sort of thing. That being said, watch your mouth, boy. There are ladies present, and you are showing your age. Amy says, my dad retired from the Navy after 29 years of service. I miss him. Aww. To your dad. Amanda says, Landon, take that elsewhere. And my daddy was 82nd Airborne. To your dad. Aaron says, never gets old, Fab. My crazy but jump in the desert. My crazy but jump in the desert. I don't know. That's an Army thing, I'm sure. Joe Gaines says, I'm going to say it. If Trump were black, he'd lose. Unlike MLK, Trump doesn't judge by character, experience, or smarts. His cabinet mostly incompetent white dudes who kiss Trump's ass. Well, I think you need to probably, take your head out of MSDNC's asshole and look at his cabinet, because most of them are very confident, very competent individuals of varying degrees, not all white dudes by any stretch of the imagination, and some of them are ladies. And also, what are you even on about? Trump is black. Don't believe me? Listen to the black guys on YouTube. They all think so. And he won, by the way, by a landslide 3 times. So your logic is faulty, sir. Jordan says, it's arrow proof. You saw Joe split an arrow, and I saw the same video. That arrow stuck in the door. It didn't go through it, but it stuck in it. I got a picture to prove it. I think it's the thumbnail of the video. Aaron says, hug your daddy for me. Right on. Fab Daddy says, I was 18th Airborne Corps Artillery. Nice. Amanda says, he's in Arlington National in Florida. I thought Arlington National was in D.C. Amanda says, hey, Joe, welcome. Aaron says, thank you for your service, Fab. Kristen Chicky says, hi from Poland. Hello, Poland. Welcome to the show. Don't have anybody from Poland yet, so you're the first. Come on in, take your shoes off. It's going to be a good show. Amanda says, hi, Christian. Welcome. Christian Chicky. Nice name. Amy says, my mom said she's getting bulk mail for him. I got some for my husband yesterday. Even after death, you're on the mailing list. We decided to put it in the flower urn at the cemetery. Well, he's not going to read it. But I hear you. Aaron says, 75th Ranger for me, Fab. That's awesome. So I know where to go to find somebody that can have my back and be like TC from the A-Team. Can you wield a blowtorch and make a van? Because if so, we got some things to do. Fab Daddy says, that was long ago. But it influenced my life. I believe in positivity. Or I believe in a positive way. I'm having trouble reading tonight because I'm tired. Aaron says, I bet. Hoorah, says Fab Daddy. Hoorah. Amy says, swinging on a pole. Right on. I'll take it. Aaron says, sorry for calling you sir if you didn't like it. I meant no disrespect. Amy, why are you on the pole swinging? Amy says, Aaron, no tax on tips. That's why. People will pay to put my clothes back on. Yes. Further proof that the Democrats have nothing. They tried to steal that little tidbit, make it their policy, even though every single Democrat voted against that policy. There was Kamala Harris out there saying she was going to have no tax on tips. Every single Democrat, every single one of them voted against it. So that was a lie, and they were just trying to take the wind out of Trump's sails. Little did they know he already won. They just took a while to catch up. Fab Daddy says, thanks. If I give someone some grief, it means I like you. We're good, Aaron. Right on. Pablo Mendez says, Cybertruck is horribly designed. It really is. It's really ugly. unless you play Roblox, you're not going to like that truck. And if you play Roblox, you know what I mean by that. Amanda says, hi, Pablo, welcome. Aaron says, LOL, thanks, Fab. You good in my book, too. Fab Daddy's good people, Aaron. He talks a lot of shit, but he does it from the heart, and he's a good man. That much I'll vouch for. Aaron says, Amy, I'm going to toss grape Kool-Aid and Tang at that pole. That would be sticky. Make it rain. Right on. Fab Daddy says, bro bonding at its finest. That's what I'm here for, Fab Daddy. Bro bonding. And lady bonding, too. Although lady bonding is a little stickier. It's nice to have. Amanda says, well, the Teslas do have a programmed app that tells you where all the charging stations are. Well, that's good because you're going to need it because they're not that close together. And if you get out there on the wild somewhere, you're probably going to end up needing one post-haste. So it's good they have that app. I'm not going to be in one of those cars. I'll take my 99 Eddie Bauer edition Ford Explorer every day of the week. I'll run rings around a Tesla. Might do it slower and not nearly as cool, but I'll still be going while they're sitting on the side of the road trying to figure out how to charge their battery without using the electrical grid. Which is another problem that electrical cars seem to have. You have to charge them. And where do you charge them at? From the grid. Even the charging stations use electric power to charge them, which comes from the grid, which comes from coal and fuel and turbines and nuclear and all manner of ways. None of which comes from green energy, which is the whole point. It's a scam. We'll talk about electric cars when you come up with another source of energy other than coal. Aaron says, facts. Vera Lynn says, Aaron, trust me, Daddy and I had a lot of issues before. Full-on fights, Aaron. Amy says, I'd rather have an old square body 4x4. Me too. I like old stuff. I like old cars. I want an old Crown Vic, the square one. Remember the old square ones, the cop cars? That's what I want. Old Crown Vic or a 69 or 70 Dodge Charger, something like that. Or a 69 or 70 Chrysler Newport, something like that. That's what I'm into. A Delta 88, a Cadillac, a Chrysler LeBaron, not the little one, the big one, the one that came first. That's what I'm into. And if I had my way about it, that's what I'd be driving. They're increasingly hard to find these days, though. Amanda says, yes, Amy, definitely. Aaron says, that's how you know your family. That's right, Aaron. Vera says, I'll still fight him if I ever see him outside. You guys should be making whoopee instead of causing poopy. Aaron says, Amy, what's up with the truck? I think Aaron wants to buy your truck, Amy. Fab Daddy says, bring the gloves and we'll do it. Amy says, the truck is sitting there. Vera says, LOL, why did I think Amy was talking about her physique and not her car? Amy says, LOL, Vera. Vera says, Fab, you in North Carolina, right? No, I'm in North Carolina. I don't know where Fab is at. I think Fab's in California. Aaron says, what you need to fix it? Amy, what do you need to fix the car? I don't think she knows is why it's sitting there. Aaron, I need a man to fix it, LOL, says Amy. Aaron says, I can help with that, Amy. Vera says, ugh, right. Forget you are one of those people, Fab Daddy. Fab Daddy says, arg. Arg as in pirate. Arg. Arg. You need a parrot. Amy says, send me a friend request on Facebook, Aaron. I'm on Amanda's friends list. You guys talk and get something worked out. Fab Daddy says, yep. And you're one of those other ones. One of those other ones. I misspelled your. You got it. It's you are. Just remember it's you are. Or when you're given something, it's your. Or if you're taking something, it's mine. Amy says, Vera, Fab Daddy, I'm one of those, a child of God. When people say you're one of those, I say, yep, and just smile. Aaron says, will do, Amy. Fab Daddy says, nice way to think, Amy. Vera says, Daddy is one of those, a special one of those. Debbie says, if you pull a load on the interstate, 165 miles is less than 3 hours, so truck drivers can go for 3 hours and then wait 3 hours for a charge. That would make a long day. Right. Right. Which is why it's not ever going to be a thing. Because like I said before, I think we have reached the pinnacle of battery technology. I don't think we could do much better. We might do a little better, but I don't think it's going to be exponentially better, which is what they need to make electric cars a thing. It's never going to be a thing. Amy said, yes, it would, Debbie. And Amanda says, they do have quick charges at the gas stations. It takes 30 to 45 minutes to charge, and you have to pay. Yeah, imagine having to pay to charge. What is that? Per kilowatt hour? It's probably like $6 or $7 per kilowatt hour. I don't know what the price is, but I'd say it's more than you should pay to charge your car. I'll say that. And also, my gas station don't have a charger. The one at the end of the road or the one at the other end of the road. No chargers. If you live where I live, your car's going to be dead because there's no place to charge it. Maybe in Greenville, which is about 25, 30 miles away, or maybe in Goldsboro, which is about 40 miles away, or maybe in Kinston, which is about 25 miles away in the other direction. No place around here to charge one of those things. Bill says battery technology has come a long way in the last 10 years. Yes, it has. I don't think it's going to go much further. Like I said, they might be able to innovate a little bit. They might come out with a newer battery that's a little better. But I think we pretty much reached the height of battery technology. I don't think you're going to get a battery that lasts for days, you know. Fab Daddy says, I'm bowing out 2 and 5. Have a great night. Time to hang with my gaming friends. Later. Fab Daddy, God bless you, sir. Thank you for being here. We love you. Then my chat jumped. 40 minutes behind. Not anymore. Amanda says, good night, Fab. Kevin says, supercapacitors will replace batteries. It seems like they're on par with capacitors, yes. I don't know how that's going to work in the long run, but from what I can see and knowing capacitors, because I work on electronics, that's about battery technology quality right there. Aaron says, later, Fab. Amy says, I watched a video of Tesla catching fire, and the firemen put it out with foam. Then they reignite and can burn for days. Terrifying. Well, those lithium-ion batteries are no joke. When they blow up hard. And then Aaron says, the trash. They are trash. Yeah. Linda says, good night, Fab. Kevin says, Amy, the source of heat comes from the batteries. Until those batteries are dead, it will just reignite. Right on. Patty says, I think I'm going to go turn in Miss Amanda and Jake. Thank you for the company, the info, and I will see you tomorrow night. Patty, we love you, sweetheart. Thank you for being here. God bless you. I'm about to turn in too. I'm going cross-eyed over here. Amanda says, LOL, he should know by now. I'm on it and already got it taken care of. And Vera says, good night, peace. Amy says, good night, Patty. See you at Bible study. Kevin says, my internet is acting as sketchy as a crack addict. Well, hide your money. Amanda says, good night, Patty. Amy says, message retracted. Amanda says, good night, Rachel. Vera says, see y'all later. Peace. Good night, Rachel. God bless you. Thank you for being here. We love you. Aaron says, thank you, Rachel. Bill Bennett says, good night, Untethered Live family. I hope to see you guys for Bible study. God bless you all. Bill, God bless you, sir. Thank you for being here. Get some rest. Amanda says, see you, Rachel. Amy says, night, Bill. And Aaron said, I sent it, Amy. Amy says, Amy, check out your Facebook. Aaron's trying to friend you. Amy says, there was zero classified information on those signal chats. Drama-crats just want to complain about anything and everything unless they're doing something, and then it's okay. I said as much, but thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, it was not classified. It was touchy. They probably shouldn't have been talking about it openly, but it was not classified. And it wouldn't have been out if the reporter hadn't reported it. So you could say he leaked classified information, not the people that were doing their job. Amanda said, exactly, Amy. And Linda says, good night, Bill, Patty, Rachel, and Kevin, if you're leaving too. Amy says, got it, Aaron. All right, you guys are hooked up now. Aaron says, I don't understand it enough to comment. MC Squad Gaming says something they shouldn't be saying. So stop talking like that. Grow a pair and go find some people your own age to talk to. Amanda says, take that elsewhere, MC. Amy says, fart jokes. Haha. Aaron says, I see. I'll message you soon. Amanda says, thanks, Rachel. Night. Love ya. Lucas Banovic says, hi. Hi, Lucas. Welcome to the show. Vera says, heart. Amanda says, Lucas, welcome. Amy says, hi, Lucas. Aaron says, see what we can do about this man thing and truck. We might have a solution to your problem, Amy. Aaron seems to be a go-get-him kind of guy. And if he wants to fix it, he might very well be able to. I wish you both luck. God bless you both in your endeavors. Jordan says, Korihor is the Mormon Antichrist. Bros obviously crashing out of an abusive cult and throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Interesting. I did not know that. Korihor, I'll look for that name. I try to stay away from religions whose leader has a name like John. John Smith doesn't sound like a godlike person to me. I'm just saying. Not somebody I want to worship. Amy says, sipping sweet tea. My son is watching Family Guy on TV. Nice. A Poster. Thank you for subscribing. Welcome to the show. A Poster. Clever name. Jordan says, Signal was an American response to Russia's Telegram. Encrypted messages. Both apps' encryption is open source and can be verified. The other 256-bit encryption, which is the highest they have. So in other words, what you're saying is it's perfectly legitimate for them to communicate via Signal amongst themselves. It's as useful as any other program. Amy says, how Family Guy hasn't been canceled by the left yet? I don't know. It's so funny. Well, probably because Seth MacFarlane is a very left-wing guy. How he can make Family Guy and be so in the middle is something I don't understand. Because if you hear him talk, he is very left-wing. But the stuff he creates, the Orville, Million Ways to Die in the West, Ted, Family Guy, and now Naked Gun, are all middle-of-the-road, right-leaning, centrist-type stuff. But he is very left-wing. So maybe he's got a good team around him. Who knows? Aaron says, the episode when Brian is on crack is funny. I love Family Guy. I get a little tired of it, though, because it's been on for so long, but I do love that kind of humor. Riley Scow says something in hieroglyphics. It looks like hamburger helper with meatballs. That sounds good. Hi, Riley. Welcome to the show. Amanda says, hi, Riley. Amy Elizabeth says, Peter Griffin goes to the CERN cell clinic and comes out normal. Ah. the stem cell clinic, sorry, comes out normal. Is that a new one? I haven't seen any of the new ones. Aaron says, I don't know if Jake will make it to the bottom of this one. I'm working on it. Amanda says, he's only 40 minutes behind. I hope not. Aaron says, nice. Amy Elizabeth says, that's how Godzilla was created. Nuclear testing in French Polynesian. Isn't it funny how every time we have a nuclear scare within a margin of error, 1 year after that, we have videos on the movies about nuclear monsters every single time. Within 1 year of the nuclear meltdown or problem that we have, or anytime anybody's talking about it, then comes the Godzilla movies and the, radiation turns people into zombies and things like that. Isn't that weird? Aaron says, LOL, that's true. And Kong. Also King Kong, yeah. Amy says, just paint your roof blue and you'll be fine. Aaron says, LOL, Amy, just paint bank on it and they will miss. Amanda says, wait, what gets me with the money Trump's spending on golf excursions? He owns the damn golf course. He plays for free, WTF. Yeah, I think that was just an argument. I don't think it was a correct argument. I think they don't have anything better to argue with, so they make up things like that. And she probably undoubtedly heard that on MSNBC or something like that, or some similar thing. Amy says, Amanda, I think he's objecting to the expense of security while he's golfing, not the actual cost of playing. Maybe. But he does have Secret Service, so that's taxpayer funded. I'm starting to lose my consciousness now. I'm blinking with one eye at a time now. Bill Bennett says, Red Wings, Fab. Red Wings. Yes, I have those kind of wings. Amanda says, regardless, that comes automatically with his team. I'm just saying. Right on. Amanda says, ooh, Bill, gross. Amy says, yep. Aaron says, service wings, Bill. Service wings, not red wings. Service wings. Well, that is a service if you think about it. You are servicing the person who gives you the red wings. So, it is a job. Let's not be kidding ourselves. Guest says, hello. Hello, guest. Welcome to the show. Amy says, hi, guest. Amanda says, hi, guest. Aaron says, this is a good show tonight. Thank you, sir. I'm trying. Amanda says, yes, Aaron. And thank you all, says Aaron. Bill Bennett says, LOL, joking. No offense, guys. Have a great evening. Joking about what? Oh, Red Wings? Uh-huh. Yeah, I got you. You're fine. Amanda says, good night, Bill. It's all good. Amy says, Bill, no offense taken. Being offended is a waste of time and doesn't promote positivity, which is what we're trying to do here. Aaron says, Amy, you need a comedy channel. I agree. Aaron says, I can, LOL. Aaron says, at the van, building with blowtorches. So we need to become soldiers of fortune, you and I, and go out and solve problems. Fight crime with our kung fu. That was a A-Team joke in case you didn't get it. You might be a little too young for that, but I think you're probably old enough to get right in there. Amy Elizabeth says, at this point, I'll settle for an unexploded Pinto. I've been there. I told my girlfriend I might be 40 minutes behind. Where'd it go? No, I'm not. I'm still here. I told my girlfriend, buy me a truck now. I don't care what it is. I don't care what it looks like. It has to run and it has to roll. That's it. That's all I care about. Buy me a truck now. And every day I said, where's my truck? Buy me a truck. Where's my truck? Go get on. Why ain't you looking at this truck? Why ain't you looking at that truck? Let's go find a truck now. I need it now. 5 days later, she brought me a very nice Eddie Bauer edition 1999 Ford Explorer in near mint condition. One owner, low miles, brand new oil, brand new tires, decent interior, not a scratch on it anywhere, runs like a dream, all of the above for $1,100. $1,100. The tires cost $1,100. So if you wait patiently and allow someone that knows what they're doing to handle the situation, you come out on top. So my impatience did not serve me in that moment, but I needed a vehicle and I needed it now, but she had it handled. So. The moral of the story is look both ways before you cross the street. Anyway, moving on. Aaron says, LOL, tragic. Amanda says, LOL, Amy. Aaron says, I've only seen Chargers in Fort Myers at Costco. Right on. Chargers for the electric car, not Dodge Chargers. Amy says, lots of the bigger gas stations have them. Wawa, some racetracks, and Circle K's and Murphy's. I don't have any of those gas stations near where I live. I have Speedway, and they don't have them. And I have Handy Mart, and they don't have them. So, that's it. Amy says, we're getting a couple of Wawas in Indiana. I've heard of them, but I've never seen one. Amy says, I saw a commercial for Pringles and thought about Jake. Mustaches flying everywhere. Nice. Swoosh Kid says something in Russian. Hello, Russian. Amanda says, hi, Swoosh, welcome, but we speak English in here, and it is the country's mandated legal language. So if you're in America or if you're communicating with America, you need to speak English. And Amy says, Swoosh, hello, sorry, can't read that. Aaron says, Amy, you made it the whole show. Right on. Amy says, I'm just hanging out to support Jake's effort to reach the bottom of the chat. Thank you, and I'm almost there. Aaron says, me too. Aaron says, Jake, I'm about to fall asleep on you. See, this eye's already closing. I go cross-eyed when I get tired, by the way, so look for that. Jake is super impatient, says Amanda. Sometimes. Patience is a virtue, and I don't have it. Amanda says, moral of the story, don't rush me. Perfection takes time. Yeah, but I'm getting older by the second, so, you know. Amanda says, they would be at our Sheets, Jake. Sheets might have one. I haven't looked, but there is one in Greenville, but nowhere near here. Amy says, I speak redneckian. Me too. Aaron says, LOL, and that's it. That's the bottom of the chat. I'm going to bed now. Thank you all so much for your super chats, for your support, for your love, for your great conversations. I love each and every one of you. I do. That's true. I mean what I'm saying to you. Now, join me tomorrow night for a Bible study that it will be unforgettable. Can't wait to see you then. Amanda says, yes, but you now have a truck you don't have to work on constantly. That was my point. And it's a great truck. And I'd take it over any of the nonsense they got today. See y'all at Bible study, says Amy. Good night, everybody. God bless you all. Thanks for watching.